This is Trophy Gold, Sleeping Place of the Feathered Swine Part 2. Let's do a bit of recap from last time. So, your characters, desperate treasure hunters in every sense of that word, particularly the desperate part, roaming around, not ready to go back, having invested a lot of money in your treasure finding and having found nothing, and yet you lucked upon a wizard in hiding. Wizard whose first name I forget, but whose last name is Longworm, Felix Longworm, maybe. And Longworm explained that he was part of a troop of mercenaries who were sent to a nearby cave to extract these valuable cysts, these cysts from this creature, the feathered swine, which is currently hibernating. They are trying to extract these cysts and return them to the alchemist Unraga Prague, a name that I continue to love incredibly. Um, the mercenaries never came back, and Felix is too much of a coward to go check on them or to even leave his hiding spot. And hence, the four of you come along and are now taking up this job. He doesn't even want a cut of the cysts. All he wants is his spell book, which he has agreed to pay a sack of silver for, which is in game terms worth 3 gold. The cysts themselves are worth, in game terms, 1 gold apiece if you can find them and get them. You have explored a good portion of the cave system and discovered a few key details. The first is that there are the mercenaries seem to be all dead. Well, they're all dead. They're definitely all dead now. There was one, Aspeth, who was not, who is now dead. Excuse me, a cough. But she did give you the sedative and syringe to administer it before she was killed by assisted suicide. And um, another interesting detail about this cave system is that there are creatures which you get to name still, but they are sort of like basically big, puffed up, cyst monstrosities, transformed people with this sort of like overgrown, with boils and cysts and other disgusting tumors all over their bodies. And they're pretty fearsome, but you have managed to slay a few of them. You acquired a few valuable treasures in the process and discovered the remains of some of the mercenaries in the process as well. You still have not found the feathered swine, however, and so that is sort of where we're picking up in terms of the adventurers proceeding ever deeper into this cave system. Taking a look at the treasure hunters themselves, I like to check in with the characters with that top block of info right beneath your name and stuff. Burdens, gold, hunt tokens, and ruin, because this is the really mechanically important part of your character. So please bear in mind that you must meet your burdens in treasure, found equipment, or treasure in order to basically not be retired by the end of this adventure. And so keep that in mind. Hunt tokens, I'll remind you, can be used 1 for 1 to find treasure, or they can be spent and pooled and spent 3 at a time to accomplish set goals or goals that we define outside of the set goals. Ruin, the maximum you can go without being completely ruined is 5. Once you hit 6 ruin, your character retires from play, usually in a horrible manner. Everyone is actually not doing too bad on ruin. Osto and Revel are at 4, which all things considered doesn't seem too bad. Alec and Theoden are actually in pretty good shape with 2 each. So, are there any other questions about the sort of state of things at this point? I will sort of recap what's going on in the space that you're currently in once we start playing. But are there any other questions or any other things we want to be reminded of? Okay, then. If you want to direct your attention to the map, on the far right side is the chamber you're currently in. There is um, there's a pool over there. I can't remember what was in that pool. Did we ever talk about that? Let me take a look.
That was the it had the glowing stuff on top and like 1 billion crabs at the
Oh,
bottom.
the little crabs. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think
Yeah.
we actually ended the session with Alec having
Yep.
crabs crawling all over his body. Um, Here's a really interesting detail, Alec. The little crabs, uh, they're almost certainly coming from that ancient pearl that you found. But in the pearl, they were very tiny, like not microscopic, but very, very small. The ones crawling on your body are considerably bigger, probably the size of a thumbnail. And you even see a few crawling up on the outside of your clothes that are before your very eyes getting bigger. Like they're actually growing as they climb up your body. And so this pearl is clearly magical in some sense, or the crabs are. And there's a whole pool filled with these crabs, like the floor is just thick with them as well. But Alec, you have an immediate problem to deal with right now. What are you going to do?
I am currently stripping my clothing off
Very
of
good.
me.
I like it. Let's keep this in the realm of risk roll. I think Mark, what will happen if Alec does not do this in time?
The crabs will latch onto his body instead of his clothes and maybe start burrowing into it like they did with a pearl.
That's interesting. Um, yeah, you becoming a nest for ever-growing crabs would not be good. Let's talk about dice. As you've described it, taking off your clothes maybe doesn't implicate a particular skill, but maybe I don't know. What do you think, Alec?
Athletics.
Okay, I'll take it. Very good. You've got one light die, and Eric, you can make the devil's bargain.
I'm actually going to pass this time. I'm sorry. I'm trying to turn off the notifications on my
That's
computer
quite all
because
right. No worries.
it's every 10 seconds.
Billy, you want to have a go at it?
I'm trying to think of a good one. I don't know if I have one, at least off the top of my head. So if anybody else has one, they're free to jump in. But I'll continue to think and say if I come up with something.
I'm going to say that no matter what, um, I'm going to go with a harsh one just to encourage Billy to come up with something, or Eric. No matter what, the pearl is cracked in the process. I will now defer to your fellow players to come up with something less punitive.
We can say something like, no matter what, you can't get rid of every single crab off your skin.
Oh, you'll always have some for the remainder of the adventure.
There will always be maybe one or two little ones crawling around you.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting. That's really interesting in the context of a success, right? Because it means like they're, I don't know, it's almost like the crabs are like, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. All right, what do you think? Do you want to accept that either of those, Alec?
I'll take that one where I always have some amount of crabs on me. I will be a parasitic host. That sounds
Indeed.
like fun.
I think so. Go ahead, and I think probably the dark die is automatic here too. So 2 light, 1 dark.
All right, here we go. I got a 6 dark.
Hey, very good. Your ruin does go up, but the ruin's going to go up because I'm going to give you a condition called Nest for Crabs. Not in a dangerous way, like the failure would have been, but in a more winsome way, we'll say for now. But you're in control of the scene here. Please describe how you save yourself from being killed, at least.
So I pull all of my clothing off of me as fast and rapidly as I can, and then seeing that these crabs seem to like that blue algae water, I run over and I dip all of my clothing into the water to hopefully let the crabs then float into that blue algae water and be with their brethren.
I love it. It's great. What are you going to do as far as securing the pearl goes? It's still very valuable, despite the fact that it seems to cause problems. Because if you look in it, there's more little crabs in there.
Yeah. So I have 1 vial of vermin repellent left. I'm just
Mm.
going to crack that vial and spread it all over the vial of vermin repellent and pour it all over the pearl,
I see, just to kind of keep them inside. I like that. I'm into it.
or kill them, or whatever it is.
Yeah, true. You might have to find a more permanent solution down the road, but this will do for now. Let's pick up the scene. So there is a continuing tunnel on the far, I guess that would be the far east side of this larger cave complex. Let's just go around the table and see what everyone else is doing or what they want to do. What do you think? Oh, and Eric, what's your character's name, Eric, so I can change it? You are
Revel.
Revel. That's right.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. So let's start with Theoden. Theoden, what do you want to do?
After he's done slinking around in the stones where the creatures were eating, I think that he will take his little candle and start heading towards the east passageway.
Osto?
I think I would like to poke around a little bit and convert some of my hunt tokens into treasure.
I can help you out with that.
Two of them
Revel.
with that.
I would like to poke around a little bit, and just to poke around a little bit.
Very good.
Is there anything left that I can find?
I'll give you one more hunt roll. Describe what does poking around look like here in this instance?
So, well, I do still have the bone that I took from the very first chamber to poke around in that chamber. So I still have that. So I'll be looking for other rocks or piles of excrement from the creatures if they've been in there for a while, to see if those are there and kind of poke through to
see if there's more treasure in the shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's where they hide it. So
yeah, roll. You can do a 2-die hunt roll. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
that is a 2. You encounter something terrible. We'll come to that in a moment. Theoden, same thing. With your candle, you can do a hunt roll as you sort of press into that eastern tunnel opening.
All right. I like that idea. Just 1 die for my candle, right? Or 2?
You get 1 just because, and then 2 because of the candle.
Okay.
Which probably needs to be replaced at this point. Do you have another candle?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
That's 4 light.
Fantastic. Get your token. You also encounter something terrible. Osto, how many hunt tokens are you spending?
2.
2. Okay, let me pull up Trophy Loom real fast because there's nothing in the module itself, so that you haven't already found. 2 tokens to get something really good, right? Really good. Ooh, I like this. You actually find an alchemist's leather belt lined with vials of glowing potions in gemstone hues: amethyst, emerald, sapphire, and ruby. Their effects are unknown.
That's really good.
I will paste that here for you so you have it. That's worthy of 2 hunt tokens, I think. Let's check in. Alec, I think you're still cleaning off, so I'm not going to come to you yet. I would like to know, though, Alec, what's your first hint that maybe you keep private for now, but what's your first hint that you may not be done with these crabs, even if you want to be?
Well, I feel something like after I have rinsed my clothes off and they're kind of shining with that blue algae, and I pull them out and I start like trying to dry them off as best I can. The leather's not so hard, but the pants might be a little trickier. I have this itching in my head, like on my hair, and I scratch my head, and when I pull it back, there's one of those tiny little crabs, and I'm like, son of a, or by the devil's barnacles, and I pull it off and I throw it away, and then I feel it again like a few minutes later, and I scratch my head, and another one's like, oh, that seems bad. Just gonna hang out in my hair. They're like lice.
That's gross. I love it. Revel, your terrible thing you encounter is something of a reminder from last time, actually. You might recall last time that one of you, I think it was Theoden, but I can't quite remember, one of you on the eastern wall of the cave you're in, or more like kind of southeastern, you actually heard something inside the wall, something shuffling about. You hear that as well, Revel, but as Theodan, you're looking over to see Theodan go deeper into the passage, that thing is reacting to Theodan's walking deeper into the passage. You can hear it moving around, agitated in the wall. Revel, what do you do?
I will kind of catch up to try and catch up to Tatum. And when I do, I'll just kind of let him know quietly that there's something following us in the wall.
Yeah, he will instantly recoil away and maybe behind you a little bit, I think.
Sorry.
Let's talk about that chamber since you're there. Let's see. I'm going to go find it. Here we go. This tunnel is much damper. It descends, I'd say, about 15 feet in total. Gradual decline. The walls, this tunnel opens up into a cave that has walls that are very moist. They even look visibly soft. The chamber smells like a wet bed slept in for a week. Each step feels like you're falling in slow motion, but only for a moment. It slopes down into the left at the far end of the cavern, seems to narrow and then widen again like a sphincter. In this cave, there are 3 damp, dark holes in the soft walls. Revel, you're in the front now. What do you do?
So, and I do have a torch that I'm using, so there's some illumination at least. By holes, are they like the size that, like a tunnel?
They
Or-
are like up in the wall, like
Okay.
elevated, and they're about the width of I'd say they're about 3 feet in diameter.
Okay.
So you wouldn't be able to walk in them, but you could crawl in them if you were to boost yourself up.
Sure. That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Indeed not.
Let's see here. So, what other features were in the room again?
I'm going to just go ahead and clip
Sure.
the map because I think you've seen enough of it. It's not a very big space. Let's drop this in. Insert.
So something's in the wall, and we see holes in the wall in here.
Yes. Give me one moment. I'm going to put a little. I think this is the right screenshot. Not actually sure since I'm not getting a preview. Let me make sure I've got the right thing here. Just clip it again. Okay, so let's move this over, resize it real quick. There we go. And it actually comes down like this. There we go. It's significantly smaller though. There we go. Yeah, there are these 3 holes, and there's even a 4th one to your immediate left. You'll notice if you look around.
And then which side of the wall was the shuffling noise coming from? To the right or left?
It's on as you're walking into the room, which is you're walking in from the top there. It's on the right hand side.
Okay, all right. So I will. I'm not going to be up super close, but I want to look into the one on the one on the left side.
The very first one as you walk in.
Yeah, on the if we're as we're coming in, the one on the
Oh,
left.
you turn left. Yeah, gotcha.
Well, there's
Yeah.
only the one.
Yeah, there's just the one.
But I'm going to do it somewhat strategically, so I'm not turning my back directly to the other three.
Sure. Very good.
Yeah, and even while if I notice he kind of turns a little bit, I will kind of put my back to his almost and turn the other way. And if the hole's like set up on the wall, he'll like very gingerly lean and kind of just set his bear trap on the floor in between him and the wall.
Revel, go ahead and make your hunt roll.
Okay. Let's see. So I got the torch.
I'll give you 2 dice. Go for it. Yeah.
See if I'm any better this time. A little bit, yeah. So 5.
The little carved out tunnel space in that hole as you peer in is not very deep at all. You see what appears to be a bundle of torn clothing, broken equipment, but a pretty decent amount of silver if you collect it all.
Okay.
I will tell you that it's covered in bile.
Of
The
course.
silver. What do you do?
So the silver is, but the torn pieces of cloth are.
Well, it is as well. Yeah, I didn't think
Just
you'd be interested in that,
normally
though. Yeah.
Okay. I will. First of all, I'll use the bone to the best as I can to just kind of pull it out into the rest of the room.
Yeah.
But that hole does like end.
Yeah, it's barely. I would say it's barely like 6 feet deep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And just kind of use my boot the bone in my boot to separate and try and get some of it off at least.
Yeah, it'll take a moment.
Yeah.
Let's check in with the other characters. Osto, where'd we leave you? You were you're collecting fabulous treasure. Yeah.
Finally, that's good. I got a little bat belt. Yeah. I think once I get that, I'm head down into the next chamber with the others.
Sounds good.
See what they're up to.
Alec, you find yourself alone, except for your new companions. What do you do?
Well, while I was cleaning myself off, I was hoping that maybe I could get rid of this condition covered in green goo since I have this water here.
Oh, I'll take it. Yeah, you can clear it. Yep.
Then I will get dressed again, and I will proceed to follow my other companions, my crew.
Osto, Alec, Ted, and you're all together. Revel. You see Revel trying to kick muck off of some silver. There are these other 3 holes in the wall on the right side as you enter. Ted, what do you do?
So I think that he'll kind of. So you said the ground here is like really squishy and wet, right?
Squishy, yeah.
Soft.
Yeah.
I think that he'll kind of. He wants to look in that hole on the right, but he wants to step out and away from it and kind of put himself straight on with it. And of course the bear trap's right on the floor in front of the hole in case something steps out of it.
Regrettably, the hole is just a little too high up on the wall. You are going to have to boost yourself up there in some way to look in. You might even have to put your body inside to look in.
That sounds like something that I would do. He'll kind of pose the question if somebody wants to lift him to look into the hole.
Sure.
Keeping in mind that there was a noise that came from in here, so if something happens to me, then please protect me.
Sure. I will lift you up and I will hold you, and if you start screaming, I will pull you out.
Indeed. Tadon,
that is exactly right. Thank you.
With Alec's help, you can take 2 high dice.
Perfect. I can't wait to roll poorly on this. I wonder what the bad thing would be. 5. Yeah.
5. Let me tell you what you find.
If this thing attacks me, I'm gonna be very happy.
You find yourself crawling about, at least for the first few feet, in a slick of white organic waste. I am going to give you. I'm going to ask you how you feel as you crawl about in this white organic waste.
So he's used to gross stuff, but not like this. So I think if like the top half of him disappears into like the dark of the cave, just leaving his kind of feet hanging out for Alec to grab just in case. But you just start hearing him probably like retch or actually throw up.
I think your blurred vision is probably cleared at this point, but I am going to replace that condition with nauseous. All that said, at the far end of this little tunnel, you see pressed up against the back wall a pack.
And how far away is that from me?
About 12 feet.
You okay up there, Toadin?
Yeah, he'll just kind of echo back that I see something straight ahead. Somebody's backpack.
Oh, okay.
I'm very worried. Should I grab it?
Just stay there for a second. I tie one of his ankles with my rope.
Good plan. Tadden, do you go in deeper?
Yeah, he feels a bit bolstered by Alec's one leg ability of tying, so he will go ahead and crawl in.
You can get the pack, no trouble. When you open it up after you're out of the hole, you'll see that the pack actually contains something you would recognize called black fire bombs. They are kind of what they sound like. So they're a little moist, so they may not work exactly properly, but you have them. There are 2 other holes there. Osto, Revel, what do you want to do?
Did we hear the movement behind the
No,
wall at all?
you did
No
not.
more? Okay.
Mm-mm.
And did it seem like it stopped when we came in to the room?
You probably heard it as Revel was going down the connecting corridor, but
Okay.
basically you probably were not, like, when it got quiet again, you probably were not in a place to hear that, so it's unclear.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna walk over to the wall between the 2 remaining holes and take the bone that I've been using and just pound it as loud and hard as I can against the wall to see what happens.
Make a hunt roll with 2 dice.
All right. I think same as last time, 5.
Alec will say, "By the sea's depths, what are you doing?"
Indeed.
Trying to see what happened.
You take your token. You hear a loud, shrill shriek from the hole on your right, since you're between the 2.
Okay.
The furthest one down, basically. And then you see a gout of vomit sprays out from that hole and spatters ineffectively because no one's standing in front of it. And then you see one of those monstrosities trying to crawl out of the hole. It is pushing itself out of the hole. It's screeching. Its face is covered in enormous tumorous growths. There's just a little tiny kind of like half mouth of teeth that it's sort of shrieking out of. And its it's not quite out of the hole yet, and so it's a little vulnerable as it kind of crawls out, but nevertheless, it's there, getting ready to come out. Osto, what do you do?
Immediately hitting that thing with my pick.
I love it. This is going to be.
I was like getting ready to like, oh, this rock is interesting. Oh no,
It's combat.
take care of this. Yeah,
It's a combat. While it's in the hole, if you can kill it in the first round, it's an endurance 7 for the first round, basically. You yourself alone will not be able to kill it, but maybe if one of your companions helps. I don't think Theodan or Alec are really in a position to help. Revel, you are, however. So
I'm in. Yeah, I'll do it.
please describe how you're both vulnerable and then roll weak points, please.
Yeah, so I'll start. I'm vulnerable because I'm fairly close to it, and if if we score a hit, things are going to splatter.
Yeah.
If we hit it, things are going to splatter, and whatever's in those pustules is going to end up on me, or could end up on me.
Roll weak point. What about you, Osto?
yeah. I think I was less focused on the holes themselves and more like interested in why this rock is kind of soft and spongy, and just got immediately taken by surprise. It's just like almost a reflex. So a little bit disoriented or like not steeled for combat or anything.
I see Revel's weak point is 3. Let's see what yours is. 4. We're looking for a 7. Revel, go ahead and roll combat 2. 4 and 3, 7. You do both take a hit, however, and it is indeed you are getting splattered by the bile. There's a couple of ways this can be handled. So depending on if you have armor and how the armor helps deflect the bile, that might be it. If, however, the bile touches you at all, whether your ruin goes up or not, you may be infected by whatever is infecting these creatures. And so I guess the question for you both is, are you taking the hit? If not, how does your armor protect you?
Oh, shoot. I'll go first again. So I just swung with what I had in my hand. So the bone, which probably now has a jagged end, since it's been used quite a bit, and managed to get a pretty solid hit right in the, I don't know, right between the 2 tumors or 2 eyes or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
So knowing that there was a potential that it was splattered, I'm fairly dexterous, so I started right away to kind of try and dodge out of the way, and so it missed my exposed skin, but did quite a bit of it did land on my fake crafted chainmail, which looks like it's kind of starting to kind of pit, even though it slides off of it fairly nicely. It starts to kind of pit, have pits where the where it was.
Osto, you get to finish the creature off.
Yeah, I think Osto is. So I think I'm gonna take my armor to not take that hit, and it's an amulet of protection, which I think in Osto's case is like a lodestone that like almost like twitches out, like, and pulls him a little bit out of the way, or indicates to him like Spidey sense something is coming, so he doesn't get splattered by the stuff. And I think it's just coming down with the pick from the side, sort of just like deli slicing him off, kind of making sure that the top part is separated from the bottom part with one big smash.
So you're using your amulet of protection there?
Yeah.
Very good. Osto, go ahead and roll a gold 7. Let's see if this thing has anything valuable in its remains.
Nope.
Not a
thing.
Not a thing. Well, that tunnel is now clear, and nothing was alerted in the middle tunnel, so that's probably safe as well. Let's pick back up with Alec and Theoden, our tunnel explorers here. What are the two of you doing?
Yeah, when the shriek happens, Theoden comes flying, like just trying to get the hell out of it because he doesn't know if it's right behind him or whatever the hell's going on. So he might just like come down onto Alec or whatever he can do to get out of the tunnel before he realizes that the danger is actually out here in the first place.
I'll make that easy for you. As soon as that thing pops out, the vomit, I yank as hard as I can.
Oh, that's even better because you
I
hear
assume
him
it's-
screech and then you yank.
Yeah, I assume it's slippery in that tunnel, so I bet he slides right out.
With all that white muck. Moments later, Revel and Osto have killed the thing. Its body sloughs heavily out onto the ground, and we can continue exploration of the space. So we got 2 other holes. What is everyone doing right now? There's also more cave tunnel that goes deeper further ahead.
So Revel will apparently probably have to climb in, but we'll start exploring down the tunnel that the monstrosity just came out of.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you this search for free since you've killed the creature. And well, go ahead. Actually, just take a hunt roll because, yeah, just take a hunt roll. Yeah, it won't be, the danger's not super extreme though.
Let's see here. And I suppose still have the torch.
Yeah, you may have to relight one because you may have to light another one at this point. But yeah.
Well, actually, I would have just lit that one in the previous room because
right.
I dropped the one before that.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I'm still down one either way, but so I have that. You
can take 2 dice. Go ahead.
Okay. Did I roll or not?
I don't see anything.
What did I just?
Yeah.
I thought I clicked on something. Must have been the wrong thing.
Yeah, I see a 4 and a 6.
Yeah, I just see the combat roll still.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Huh.
A 4. Take your token. You encounter something terrible. I think it's as simple as there's nothing in the tunnel. This thing left no treasure whatsoever.
Can I spend that token?
Maybe there is something in the tunnel after all. You sure can spend that token. You think that there's nothing there, but you keep at it. You keep moving through the muck. You see something, just a bare glimmer from your torchlight. Inside, there is a lacquered box, a small lacquered wooden box, inside of which is a set of fortune teller's cards. Each card depicts one of the sisters in rare inks of vibrant hue. It's worth 1 gold. I'll clip the text of that for you. Very well. Alec, what are you doing right now?
The ground here is soft and squishy and pitted, right?
Indeed.
I'm going to start walking the cave with my spear, my whaling spear, and poking the ground, looking for anywhere that might like drop away or that seems even softer than it should be.
Make a 2-die hunt roll.
Three.
You don't find any such place, but I will tell you that as you are piercing the ground, as you tear the terrain, so to speak, underneath this sort of epidural layer, we'll say, is a more liquid version of the ground that spews up. And this more liquid version has the distinct smell of, it reminds you of, say, wastewater. Wastewater discharge. Not good. Nothing good. But otherwise, you're okay. I wouldn't linger, though.
Do you guys see this? Seems fairly unnatural. For stone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Osdo takes a look.
Yeah.
That is not right.
Yeah, Theoden will kind of like kick at the ground and say, yeah, it seems more like a body than some kind of natural phenomenon.
I think maybe we should move on.
It does look like it belongs here. It's not as gross as the other stuff. Has that middle tunnel been explored?
Has not.
Okay.
I've got a hold of. Yeah, I've got a hold of. I fit in. So
Man, this one is mine.
This one is mine.
Do you search that tunnel?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick a torch in. I was probably have to light a second one. Stick a torch in and see what's in there.
Make a hunt roll with 2 dice.
Six. There we go.
Take your token, but it's empty. And so, proceeding forth. There's only one way to go.
Before we leave,
Actually, it's not true. There are 2 ways to go. As you first walk in, on the right-hand side, there's another cave tunnel, and then at the very far end, there's even more cave tunnel. You have 2 directions you could head.
I'm making my way towards the far end.
Very good. The one labeled 10 on the map.
Correct.
I'm making my way towards 9 just to cause a headache. But I'm gonna grab the silver that I had left on the floor and then turn around and go towards 10.
You can eventually get all that silver. You can gather it up. I do think I'm going to give you a nauseous condition as well for handling all that disgusting stuff. But otherwise, you do get enough silver. It's a fair amount. It's worth 1 gold total.
Okay.
You can track it in your gold tracker.
As you guys,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
as you guys see me walking towards that cave, I scratch my head and I flick a little crab off to the ground.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think Theoden catches up with Alec. He feels pretty confident standing next to him.
So Ted and Alec then are going into the far tunnel. Revel's going into the one that is on the east side.
No, I was actually I just went that direction to grab the silver, and then I'm.
Okay. So no one's going down that one yet.
Yeah, go with everyone else.
Asta, so you're all going towards 10. Okay, very good. Okay. In that case,
got to get like 100% map completion, right? When we're dungeon crawls.
This time, the tunnel softly descends 15 feet into a cavern larger than any of the others. Mostly open space, an hourglass-shaped column of stone holding up the cave roof from its center. This large cavern smells like rotting hair, sour skin. The aftertaste is cold and stale. The walls of the cavern seem to expand. Perhaps your head spins. Let's to the right of this like large central column is an opening in the cave wall. To the left is the feathered swine, asleep on its decayed nest, slightly dug into the cave floor and surrounded by boulders at its far edges. Let's get a picture of give you a picture of the feathered swine so you can see what we're dealing with here. Drop that into the thing. There you have it. You have a set goal here. Safely extract 2d6 cysts. And we'll take a 5-minute break. So we are back on break. We're having a bit of discussion about whether to spend set goal or to whether to spend hunt tokens on this set goal or not. Let's talk about a little bit more about the scene. So I've showed you the picture of the feathered swine. Yeah, I mean, it's if you get closer to it, I'll describe it in more gruesome detail for people watching the video, but it's quite grotesque, we'll say. And there's actually much more cave to explore as well. You can only see about halfway in from where you're at with the light sources you have. But you do see this like large column of stone that basically holds the whole thing up. As you come in to the left, that's where the nest of the feathered swine is, nestled between these boulders and a depression in the ground. To the right of the big column is another gap in the cave wall, and then there's more cave beyond the column, essentially. So I'm going to start with Alec. What are you doing right now?
I look around and everybody's like, that thing is neither feathered nor very swine looking. It just looks like one of those creatures that might be a beast. And then I will... Sorry, go ahead.
Did you say a feast or a beast?
Beast.
Okay. I wouldn't want to eat it.
If we're here for that, let's go get it. Who's got those ampules?
Any boss.
I would suggest. Well, actually, I'm not even going to suggest. Revel is going to walk more towards the center of the room with the torch and in the gap of the wall, just to kind of see what that gap is, to know if there's any other dangers that, at least from that part of it, that we should worry about.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a 2-die hunt roll. Go ahead.
I'm going to spend 2 of my tokens.
Oh, you're gonna actually spend tokens. Very good.
Yeah.
In that case,
I'm happy to still roll. It's fun.
no. It's I think in this, the way you've described it, is kind of a one or the other thing. As you will notice down at the base of the stone pillar in your something very interesting indeed. A crown of smoky black crystal woven in bands of tarnished gold. A relic, perhaps, from the age of the sorcerer queens. It is worth 2 gold.
Great.
I'll put the text for you.
While Rebel's doing that, if Osto gives me the ampules, I will sneak up and stab the thing with them.
You are welcome to them. Yeah. I've already emptied one into the neck of one of those things, so you know they work.
Yeah, and Theoden like really needs money, so he's, no matter how scared he is going with you down there.
So it sounds like Theoden and Alec are on cyst collecting duty. What are you doing, Osto?
I think I want to poke around check around the other side of the column from where Revel went.
The far side, yeah.
Yes, make sure
you can just
clear the area. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just proceeding slowly, flashing your torch around, you can take a 2-die hunt roll.
A 4.
Take a token, but you encounter something terrible. Your torchlight catches a green glimmer. You see, much like my background, a further column of green slime that connects up to the roof of the cave. And it's just sort of hanging in suspension there.
As a miner, do I feel like we've like kind of looped around underneath?
Yeah, this is like underneath
okay.
the pool. Yeah, that's
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question, and it's true. Furthermore, you can see that on the other side of that green column of goo, there is another passage in the cave. And here, I'll go ahead and clip the map for you. Let's drop this in. Gotta figure out where it needs to be relative to everything else. The sizing of it's a little weird. It didn't clip exactly right, but I think it's... Oh, there we go. It's kind of weirdly hidden for some reason. I don't know. It's not quite connecting up right there, but you get the idea. So let's check in with Alec and Theoden. Yeah, apologies for the motorcycle. So the process was described to you. Sedate it. It's already asleep, but sedate it further. And then cut through the... Oh, let's see. There's a whole process here. Let me read it back from the beginning. The proper method for extraction is to slice through the subcutaneous fat under the cyst and tie off the feeding tubes connected to it before severing them, because you'll recall that the parasites inside the cyst actually feed the swine while it's hibernating. Never take more than half of the cysts, or the feathered swine might die of starvation. Now, whether you care about that or not is up to you, but in any case, it looks like at a glance there are about 30 cysts in total. These green glowing cysts, inside of which you see the very fine little worms, the parasitic worms inside of it. I will also tell you, as you get closer to this thing, there is a telltale burst cyst hanging limp from the creature's side, green fluid spilt down its pale, pudgy skin, and a glass vessel shattered on the cave floor. Someone has tried already to acquire the cysts, but it seems to be quite asleep at this point. Weirdly, its head is submerged between the fatty folds of its body. Up close, it does look kind of vaguely pig-like. It's got hooves. It is not feathered so much as it has the little goose flesh pinpricks of where feathers should be. Maybe it had feathers at one point. But you can see its great, pale, quivering mass just gently inhaling and exhaling as it sits there in its nest. Who's taking point on this? The other person can offer help dice, but one person needs to be the principal extractor of cysts.
I look at you, Theoden. I'm like, I deal with whales. I'll keep it asleep if you remove the cysts.
Deal.
Theoden, you're on cyst duty. Very good. This is going to be a risk roll. Everybody gets to talk here. What could go wrong if this extraction process goes badly? Either the sedative doesn't work, or Theoden's hand is not steady enough, or who knows what. I think quite simply you wake the creature up, which would be pretty bad, but I'm open to other ideas.
I think it rolls over onto Theoden.
You could also not get the extraction quite right and burst the connecting this is to do the make it messy.
Any thoughts, Eric?
No.
I was going to chew while you were talking, but
Not at the moment, sorry.
it's all right. Theoden, you don't want to wake this thing up. Trust me. You have one light die from the sedative, and which is being administered by Alec, but that's where your die is coming from. Everyone can make a devil's bargain. My devil's bargain is pretty rough. You use up all the sedative on this first go.
Okay, is that the one and only devil's bargain?
We'll wait and see what your fellow treasure hunters have to say.
Okay.
I've got one that's similar. Do we just have the one syringe that we're using for both the sedative and the extraction?
The extraction is you just cut it and then
Okay.
store it, tie it off and store it gently so it doesn't burst.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
So it's sort of similar, the similar effect, but the needle, the syringe that we're using to for the sedative snaps off inside of the swine.
Ooh, that sounds bad. You're muted, Chris.
I think while extracting like the 7th or 8th cyst, the feathered swine like breathes or moves in a way that makes one of the tied off ones pop and sprays Theoden with the goop.
I like that as well. Any offers, Mark?
Whether that works or not, some more of the smaller creatures, some more of the other creatures come across us doing that.
Oh, okay. These are all pretty rough devil's bargains.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
Which we love. We love that. This is what happens when you don't spend the hunt roll tokens. What are you gonna accept, if any?
In the celebration of not being married to your character in a one shot, I will get sprayed with one of the pustules.
No matter what, I love it. Taking the total possible haul down to 29, by the way. And let's go ahead and roll 2 light, 1 dark.
2 light, 1 dark. That is a 6 dark.
6 dark. Your ruin is going up to what now?
3.
3. Okay, well that's actually pretty.
I don't feel too bad about that.
Yeah, that's not too bad. But otherwise, a full success. Let's see how many cysts you're able to extract before you get sprayed. Roll 2d6, or just roll a hunt 2, or just something to give you 2 dice.
Yeah, I'll roll hunt 2. 12.
Nice roll.
Wow, good. That the die roller came in the clinch there. Really good. 12 cysts.
Wow.
That's terrific. Worth 1 gold apiece. So that's 3 for each of you. Not bad at all. You got the scene though. Both of you do. Alex, since you can be helping in the fiction even if you didn't help mechanically. Let's Alex start us off.
So we creep up. I'm like, just give me a 5 count and then come. So I creep up. I use the syringe to administer the sedative, the second vial of sedative, right above the neck flap, hopefully getting it into its bloodstream more effectively. And then I pass it over to Theoden.
Yeah, he looks a lot more resolved than probably anybody's seen him during this entire excursion, or maybe ever, actually, since you guys have been adventuring with him. And when he kind of gets down, he taps Alec on the shoulder to let him know he's moving in, and he does exactly what the wizard told him to do, and starts tying it off. But it's like clinically steady the way he's cutting through the cysts and kind of very gently putting him down. And yeah, it's a total 180 from how you've seen him act before. Like, he knows he needs this money, and that's nothing is going to stop him from getting the money to pay for his father's debt.
And yet there was 1 cyst as you go in for that 13th.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably the last one.
Lucky number 13. As you go in for it, you can see that it's much less stable than the others. but you're feeling good. You've got 12 of these things, and it bursts. It sprays on you. You can actually feel whatever's inside the cyst crawling down the back of your throat. This is that's where your initial ruin comes from, but we're also going to do a risk roll to avoid further infection. There's only one outcome here. You become infected and will eventually transform into one of these monstrosities we have yet to name. Mark, you can offer a devil's bargain, but first, Teoden, do you have a skill that will help you here? Or possibly a piece of equipment?
Surprise?
Oh, okay, I'll take it. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
And it interpreted to mean like you're not as subject to surprise. You're not easily surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Devil's bargain, Mark, you can offer it.
Whether you make it or not, you drop some of the cysts you've harvested and they burst.
Oh, that's rough. I'm gonna say 1d4 worth of them. Actually, we only have d6s. 1d6 worth of them.
Damn. That's a rough one.
That's a rough offer.
No, I'll just roll 1 and 1, I think.
1 and 1.
3.
That is a fail. You can add a dark die to re-roll. Also, Alec, if you want to help, you can, since there's a dark die in the pool, you can help. The way help works is you roll a single light die. If, however, it becomes part of the roll, but if it matches the dark die, your ruin goes up, Alec.
Yeah, I'll help.
Describe how.
My thought is I see him get splattered in the face, and I see one of those worm things in his mouth. As it starts to like crawl down his throat, I grab him and I shove my fingers down his throat to make him vomit.
Nice. This is so good.
It won't be hard either with my condition to make me throw up.
I will admit, Eric, this is more exciting than if you just spent the hunt roll tokens. Very good. If you accept that help, then roll away. Now it's a 4.
Course.
Now it's a success. So success with complication. The complication is you are going to have to spend a gold in town to meet with a physiker to make sure you're completely clear of this stuff. You can add a dark die to try again, but otherwise that's the deal.
I think that's okay. Yeah.
So it's basically increasing your burdens by 1, essentially, temporarily.
Yeah. And I just, as long as I can, will I have a chance to spend some hunt tokens to find some stuff on the way out?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Success. 12 cysts.
So I'm looking at him as he's like cutting the 13th one out, and I'm like giving him the thumbs up as the thing sprays him in the face. My face goes horrified, and then I see the worm and I grab him by the head and shove my fingers down his throat.
Yeah, he'll try to puke as silently as he possibly can, but to no avail. And then he'll just kind of give the weakest thumbs up back to you after you're wiping your hands off on your.
Very good, very good. Great scene. Let's go back to the others, though. And also, you can keep harvesting cysts if you want. There are about, let's see, 30 minus 13, whatever that is, left. Let's check in with Osto and thank you, math is hard. Osto and Revel. So Revel, you found this fabulous crown. Good, congratulations. There's also this gap in the cave wall if you want to go into there and see what's in there. Osto, there's another gap in the cave wall further past the slime column. What are you both doing right now?
I think taking a look down that other passage, more with the intention to just like make sure nothing is coming than to explore further.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. What about you, Revel?
The same, just with the other gap.
Okay, let's talk about the first of those gaps, or the one that's by the column of stone, which is where Revel is. A short tunnel leads away from the main cavern to a small open pocket that slopes upward in ridged piles of fused rock. You have a light source, and so I will tell you, indeed I have to tell you, that you can see up through the rupture in the cave roof of Area 4, which would be the room. I'll look at that real quick. Oh, that's basically like where the it leads up to it's just the slime room. Basically, it's just confirmation that that's above you all right now. At a glance, though, there's nothing else in this little pocket.
All right. I'm gonna spend a hunt token, or I'm sorry, I'm gonna spend a token and poke around a little bit in the rocks, just to make sure nothing
Sure,
there.
yeah. Inside, you will find a journal bound in thick, tarnished leather. It contains a number of wondrous rumors and collected stories of people and lands you have never visited. Worth 1 gold to the right buyer, but could have a lot of value beyond that. Meanwhile, Osto, I'll give you the basics of where you're at. A lot of scrolling right now. Beyond the sludge, a short, tight tunnel curves into a wider opening filled with mounds of stone and fungus before the tunnel continues beyond, and another tunnel leads back to the left. And so let me kind of give you I think the easiest thing to do is just to snap it for the map. It's quite a bit smaller than there. It's kind of vaguely there. But yeah, so there's this kind of like hook that goes around to the left, and then straight ahead there's a bunch of mounds of stone and fungus. Smells of sweet, vaguely pleasant decay. The air is damp, beating on your skin, cold as ice. You can actually hear the soft, steady, far-off sound of running water. What do you do?
I would like to venture further down there. Maybe it's an easier exit closer by.
Do you go through the mushrooms, or do you?
So it looks like it goes straight through like where the mushrooms and rocks are.
Yeah, you can walk
Yeah.
through that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a hunt roll.
2 dice with torch.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Not great. That's a 2.
As you're walking through the mushrooms, you realize that there are a number of species of mushroom in this little mound. Some of them are probably valuable to apothecaries or alchemists, like our favorite alchemist. Some of them are probably very deadly if ingested. Some of them just want to feed. Indeed, there's one particularly vivid red strain, which people who know of such thing called the ruby tears of mercy. They're actually covered in droplets of rich red fluid that precede the fruiting bodies themselves. As you walk by, the mushroom quivers and flecks these red ruby drops on your exposed flesh. Perhaps your leg, where your pant leg and boot meet, or not quite meet, as the case may be. What does it do? I don't know. That's what the risk roll's for. Everyone gets to say what we suppose this red fluid from the mushroom does to Osto.
I think that as it seeps into you, you might start feeling kind of angry or more reckless.
I think it quite simply just burns through your blood and kills you.
Keeping with the theme of the what we've seen in the cave, as it kind of blends in with your blood, it gives you dysentery.
That is one of our major themes in this one.
Since it hungers and it wishes to feed, I think it starts spreading along his leg and eating it.
All gruesome outcomes. Do you have a piece of equipment that will help you here, or a skill? Really, truly, though, you're being kind of taken by surprise, so we have to be a little limited in our thinking here. But I'm open to arguments.
I don't think I have any skills, unless like trails or paths would do it, but I don't think that would.
Yeah, I don't think it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Devil's bargains. Everybody can make an offer. I'm thinking of mine.
You will permanently have to have your burns increased by 1 because every time you go back to town, you have to have a doctor treat it.
Oh, that's vicious.
That's so good.
It's a vicious devil's bargain. But I second it.
I can't beat that.
This
I love
not
it.
Looking good.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that one. I love it.
Very well. You have 1 light die and 1 dark die, unless Billy has an offer.
That one was just so good.
It is very good. It's very punitive. Go ahead and roll.
3 dark.
And you failed.
Yeah. and I can't re-roll. Yeah.
And you can't re-roll because it's a 3 dark. God damn.
And there's no one by to help.
And there's no one by to help. We don't hear from Osto again. Let's cut over to the rest of you. Revel, there's nothing in that little gap there is that you found what you found, but otherwise, apart from the journal, there's nothing.
Sure.
Alec and Theodon, it's slow work getting the cysts done, but you will eventually get it done. You have not heard from Osto in some time.
Is there anything in that we've left kind of unexplored?
Yeah, there's that tunnel back in the chamber with the 4 holes in the walls.
Okay, sure. But nothing really in this chamber.
Nope. Well, let me hold on 1 second. Let me make sure. Oh, well, there's more to see where the direction Osto's in, but nothing where everybody else is.
So go ahead, sorry.
Where does the 11 tunnel go to? Do we know?
That's the one that Revel just searched. It's just a little pocket.
Okay. Sorry.
Of
Okay.
boulders you can kind of see up into the chamber up above, and there was a journal, but otherwise no.
So I'm not sure how timing goes, but I am going to go check on our missing party member, Osto.
Osto, your death was quite painful and terrible. Do you want to? I'll at least give you the benefit of describing it for us.
Yeah. I think it took a moment to realize what was happening, and the spores and everything spread throughout my body through the bloodstream before, it's like there's no like taking the leg off to save it. And the once they were fully suffused through all of my cells, that's when the reproductive cycle starts, and the tiny little red fibers start coming through. It would be less painful if they came through pores, but they didn't. They just came through everywhere, and that's it. I think I fell, but I might still be conscious technically if someone comes across me, but they're just feeding on my flesh, keeping the blood flowing while the fruiting bodies kind of burst through.
And yet your devil's bargain is suggestive of the fact that even if you had failed, you would be in a position to seek a physiker for assistance. You're alive.
Yeah.
You are only kept alive by the fungus, however.
Yeah.
And so, Revel, you discover this. You see this, frankly, horror show of interconnected blood vessel-like mushroom shit going on in Osto's body. Maybe burn this chamber before you move through it again. What do you do, Revel? It feels really dangerous to handle Osto, but I will let you defer to you.
So first of all, did he drop his pick?
Almost certainly.
Everything just got dropped right there.
Or is this pick covered with whatever this stuff is?
No, I think that the pick is probably fine.
Okay. So can I tell he's alive? If he's alive or not?
I mean, alive in the sense that like organic matter is alive. Yes.
Okay.
It is technically alive.
He doesn't appear to be like conscious.
Consciousness is unclear at this point. Yeah. Maybe rituals would help. I don't know. Ritual might be a good helpful thing here.
Yeah.
If anybody has a ritual that would be helpful.
I actually do.
Mine might be helpful pretty soon.
Because you have ghoul. That's right.
I will so I will use a ritual. So I have hand.
Okay.
And I am going to use that to jostle him awake while grabbing his belt, which is the alchemist potion belt.
Okay, so you're just stealing from his body.
Gotcha.
Maybe there's something on the alchemist belt that might be helpful. I don't know. I am into this. So basically, you're going to use hand to essentially get the belt off of Osto. For what purpose? Like, what are you trying to ultimately accomplish here?
Well, two things. One, I'm going to remove the belt so that I can take it.
Sure.
If it makes sense to take it.
Yeah.
And the second thing is kind of jostling him to see if he's like conscious.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I'm into it. What could happen here? Oh, I mean, I think the failure condition is just turns out Osto is a carrier for more of this fungus, and it just like it just spreads to you is the main fail condition here. I like the way you've described. I mean, I like in some sense you're kind of using the movement of the belt to discover whether Osto's awake, and so I'll give you your light die for that. Chris, do you want to make a devil's bargain?
I can't think of anything.
Any devil's bargains? I'll take one, the first one.
Oh, I got it. You said this is a mushroom filled with other kinds of mushrooms too, right?
It is indeed, yeah.
There are actually spores floating around since things have gotten moved around now. Like Osto fell down and like disrupted a bunch of stuff. So Revel's devil's bargain would be that his perceptions are altered by the spores in the air.
Oh, very interesting. That's very interesting indeed. If you take that, you've got 2 light dice, Revel.
I will absolutely take that. That's cool.
I want a dark die as well. So go ahead and roll 2 light, 1 dark.
So let's see, where am I? I'm trying to find the right roll that I'm trying to roll. There it is. Sorry. Let's see here. All right, so I rolled. Oh,
Oh, 6 dark. Very good.
that's really
Your ruin goes up, but you are fully successful here.
okay.
Osto, you are conscious. It is a frenzied sort of consciousness. It is also a consciousness intermingled with whatever this fungus is. Its sort of alien awareness is also inside of you. Revel, you can absolutely get the belt and be aware of Osto's consciousness. If you want to narrate the ritual, Revel, by all means, please do.
Sure. So it's actually a relatively simple symbol. It's just I have a kind of a rough clay model of a hand that I carry with, and I do some kind of scratching some sigils with that hand, which then creates a kind of a slightly like a very faint purple glow of the hand as it's doing its work. And in this case, as you mentioned that it was a kind of a frenzied consciousness. Is his body thrashing?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. So I will step back quickly. I'm probably a little bit shocked and inhale some of those spores to alter my conscience. And
where your ruin's coming from, too.
Yep, which makes it seem even more frenzied. So I'm going to throw the remainder of my tar onto the body. That's four pots of tar, or 4 uses of tar, and then throw my torch and run out back to the swine cavern.
Okay. Osto, I will give you a chance to survive this. You're being burned by tar, but maybe the fire could be helpful here. I don't know. In any case, I will also tell you, Osto, that you are just conscious enough to be aware that whatever is in the emerald green glass jar on the alchemist belt, you find to be horrifying. What do you do?
I think I think if I have any like last breath in me, try to mutter a prayer to Hashara, the East Wind, to try to put out the flames and or fan them to make it quicker, or do like something. Just
very good.
Yeah,
I like it. Are you? I mean, it's interesting because, like, on one hand, Revel is trying to burn you alive. And you are trying to avoid being burned alive. And so in some sense, it could be a contest role, right? There's room for this to maybe be a contest role, but it would just depend on what we think the stakes are. Like, if Revel's really committed to burning you alive, then it probably is a contest role. If Revel is just trying to burn the mushrooms and is not so focused on you specifically being dead, then it maybe is not. Revel, what do you think?
So I'm not thinking. So really, I see
it's just a reaction.
I see this massive red with a person in it that I sort of know, frenzy, and I want the fungus burned away. And if Osto survives,
so be it.
But I don't think I'll get near him. And if he doesn't survive, so be it.
I think it's a risk roll. It's a risk roll for Osto. We'll come back to it in a moment, though. I want to check in with the other characters who, to be quite fair, probably at this point still removing cysts from the creature, but we're probably getting close to being done with that. There are 17 more cysts on this thing. You do know that the thing will eventually die if you take 2 more. It might starve to death at some point, but it is still very quiet and asleep, and you still have some sedative.
Do you wish to grab some more, Theoden? I whisper into his ear after he vomits all over the place.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's not quite as steady anymore after that, nor is he as confident after getting a mouthful of whatever that was. So I think that he'll kind of shakily defer to you. So I can keep cutting them. I don't care about the creature, but I do care about myself.
12 is many.
We can pay for some things with this much gold. At least pay for enough to get us on our next adventure with this much gold.
I look down at my pouch where the pearl is, and I say, "Too bad this pearl isn't worth very much. At least that's what Revel told me. Otherwise, I would say
Yeah.
we could split the money from this too."
I think that if anybody knows worth of artifacts, it would be the Feyborn. So I'm sorry it wasn't that great, but maybe we'll find somebody that can take it.
I think I will try to cut some more off then. I've seen you do it. We need more money.
All right.
Very well.
I'll stay by kind of its head. So I'll stay by its head so that way I can kind of like tap you in case he starts rousing a bit or anything like that.
We'll do the risk roll again. You have 1 light die from your last dose of sedative. And I think we've already kind of established stakes for this. We don't need to go into all that again. But there could be an interesting devil's bargain to maybe come into play here if anybody has any thoughts on one. I think it would be a little boring for it to be just another burst cyst in your mouth. So I think no matter what, you accidentally kill the thing, or you are put in a position to have to kill it in case you fail. So
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that bargain. I don't care if I kill this thing.
you have 2 light dice and 1 dark die. Let's see how many more cysts you can get.
I got a 5. 5 light.
Yeah, you succeed. There will be a complication. I think the complication is you're going to have to do 1 combat round with this thing. It wakes up just enough to attack you once. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Otherwise, you can add a dark die and try again. So,
No, I'm good.
very well. Roll 2d6. Let's see how many cysts you get.
10.
Damn. The die roller gives and takes away today. It's like it's choosing its moments, isn't it? Okay. Describe everything up to the point of it attacking, which I'll handle.
Well, I've seen Theoden do this now with a pretty steady hand. I'm not sure what Theoden was using to cut these out. I don't actually have a knife on me, so I will just use them.
He can hand you his little ritual knife. He's more than happy to give it away to other characters, as we learned. So
yeah, no problem. I will take that then, and I will do the thing. I will slice it like I am slicing a whale around the thing. I will pull out the little piece of twine to tie this off. As I tie off the twine and cut, I just move from one to the next, workmanlike. The pus and whatever doesn't bother me because I'm used to cutting whales up. And I pull off the 10th one, and I look at Theoden and give him the thumbs up, and then something happens.
Indeed. Its head emerges from the fatty folds of its body. Pale pink, pupilless globes open wide and roll about. The gnarled knuckles and joints are beginning to crack as it shakes itself awake. It has a beak, and that's what you have to deal with for 1 round. I think it's obvious how you're vulnerable, so go ahead and just roll weak point.
3.
Your weak point is 3. For the first round, you only get 1 die. It is, well, I mean, Theoden, you can join the fight too if you want.
yeah, I think I will.
Okay, how are you vulnerable then?
I'm right by the beak. I'm by his face. I'm probably
Very
the
good.
first thing he sees when he wakes up. So my weak point is 2.
We got a 3 and a 2. The thing's total endurance is 10. You only have to go one round with it because after that you can just essentially you can run away from it faster than it can move. So, but if you stay there and fight it, you can maybe kill it if you don't kill it the first round. But looking for a 10, go ahead and roll it, Alec.
No.
That is a 4 and a 2. The 2 is a hit on Theoden, however. Let's start the combat. Well, Theoden, you're right by the head. What happens?
Yeah, I think that he's kind of Alec kind of moves towards the back as he's clearing the side, these fatty folds of the pustules, and so he's kind of focused on Theoden. Theoden's focused on Alec moving, and Alec gives him the thumbs up. And as that's happening, you can get that shot of like the profile of Theoden, and then you just see a beak come out of the fold that he's not paying attention to. And I think that it might be big and slow wholly, but its head is surprisingly quick, like, kind of bird-like. And so it hits him right in the shoulder and just totally tears off or destroys this chest piece that he's wearing and kind of throws him back.
Alec, the thing is still alive, but give us your bit of the combat.
So the beak comes out and I have my thumb up, but my eyes get real wide and then I can't move fast enough to grab Theoden to pull him out of the way. It blows through his armor. That's when I grab him and I throw him behind me and I start fending it off with my wailing spear, moving backwards, being like, Hosto, Revel, we need to go now.
Yeah, so much for the two of them. That's when you probably hear screaming and fire and all this other shit going on down there. Do you want to engage this thing in another round of combat, or do you want to run?
Oh, I think it's time to go.
I was gonna say I'm more than happy after my armor's been torn asunder to get the fuck out of Dodge.
There's only one direction to. Well, there's two directions to go. You can go back the way you came. There is a part of the cave that's unexplored, but we don't know how many more of those tumor monsters you might have roused at this point. There's the direction that Osto and Revel are in. You're not yet aware of what's going on there. That seems like probably the natural place you'd run to, but I don't want to speak for your characters. What do you think?
I'm just trying to remember the chamber. Was it the previous chamber where there was a way
that you did not go
to that? Well, the way that went to like the slime room.
Oh, so the slime thing is just like out in the middle of this main chamber that you're in. It's just a big like goo. The one that you were peeking into, though, that does have a crack in the wall that goes up. Yes, that's true. You could climb up there.
Was it big enough to get through it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Especially if you have equipment. If you spend some equipment to climb up there, I'll let you do it. Yeah.
Sure. So the if the other two are, well, I'll let the other two decide what they're doing first because I'm in mid-action. So
yeah, let's pick up with that scene then. Osto, this is basically your only chance to survive here, Osto. This risk roll. What? I mean, it's a question of do you burn up or do you not burn up? And I'll remind you that you did sense that the fungus is very hostile to whatever that emerald fluid is in the belt that is no longer on your person. You are being burned by burning tar, however. That's a very immediate problem. What do you do right now? You're muted.
Am I able to move, or am I just like?
Yeah, you can move around. Yeah, I'll let
suffering.
You. Yeah, no, you can move.
Yeah, I think along with like whispering the blasphemous name of of my god, Hashar, start like crawling back towards the main room. Like if I'm under, like if I'm having the feelings that that green stuff in the vial is maybe bad for the fungus, I'm going to start crawling my way back towards the main room, towards the big column of green goo.
So this is basically just hoping that your god intervenes, essentially. Yeah. It's okay. So I'm not sure you're getting this first light die unless you can make a case for an item that you have.
I do have my blasphemous book.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah. How does the book help you?
I think that's just like the songs and rituals and
I see. You're just
stories.
remembering something from it. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm just
I like that.
pulling like everything from my memory on that.
You've got one light die. I'll keep the devil's bargain pretty simple. The book burns up no matter what.
Hmm.
Do you want that?
Yeah, definitely.
2 light dice, 1 dark die. Let's see how it goes.
Whew.
We have a ruin 4, so on the ruin you can't die.
Yeah.
You did fail.
2 light, 1 dark.
2 light, 1
Add
dark. You can add a dark die and try again. Yeah.
I will add a dark die.
So 2 light, 2 dark.
It's a 5 dark.
5 dark. Your ruin goes up, but you succeed. I think you're also going to take a conditions that are burns. You're basically going to have burns on your body, in addition to the fungus infection, which you should also note as a condition. Do go ahead and describe how you at least survive.
Yeah, I think the fire actually did help. The things that were like coming out of my body were the little mycelial strands that would eventually turn into fruiting bodies that would spread it further. And I think as the fire is like burning away my skin and that's like maybe like an environmental trigger to the fungus that's like, now is not the time to do it. Let's hang out for a minute, wait for the conditions to improve, then we will burst out. And yeah, so I think I'm still very, very badly burned, covered in still smoldering tar, but that has driven back the emergence of the fungus for a moment anyway.
There are 2 directions. There's a direction that Revel and the others are in. There's the direction behind you. There's more tunnel behind you. Where do you go?
Yeah, I'm going back towards the main chamber that we're in.
Basically, Theodon and Alec, this is the situation. Revel, clearly a look of shock on his face, most likely, running toward you. Osto, half smoldering, crawling from that direction. The feathered swine, fully roused and awake behind you. This is the situation. What is everyone doing at this point? We're going to take a 5-minute break while you all think about what you're each doing. Are you all just scattering to the winds? Are you going to run for that one collapsed ceiling bit? Are you going to go back the way you came? Go through the burning fungus. There's more cave to explore. We'll come back in 5. A very good point in the chat, something I thought of on break, is only Revel knows about the side chamber and the exit up to the higher level. So that's worth pointing out. Another thing worth pointing out is if the others follow you, Revel, or if they get there first, that's just the direction they go in. No matter what, order is going to matter a lot there, because whoever's in the back is probably going to have to deal with the feathered swine a little bit before they can escape up the hole. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I'm going to say automatically that Osto, you are probably not in a condition to win a foot race here. So you may not be first in line if everyone's going that direction. But I really think that there's just a lot of confusion and chaos right now about what direction you're actually going to go. Also want to point out that you have not found the spell book. So that's another thing to be mindful of as well, if that's something you're still interested in helping Felix Longworm out with. So let's go around the table. Revel, you've already said what you're doing. You're running to the side chamber. I'm into that. Osto, you're just kind of zombie shambling your way out in that direction. Where are you headed? What are you doing?
Probably wherever most of the other people are going.
So you're in the rear for sure. Theodon and Alec, you probably see Revel cutting one way. You probably see a smoldering, shambling Osto coming in your direction. What are the 2 of you doing? You have all the cysts.
Look, I only know that there's one for sure way out of this place, and that's back the way we came.
Back the way you came. Are you headed back that way?
So I start hustling that way.
Yeah. I'm going with him. I feel the same exact way.
The cysts are going in a different direction, Revel. Osto, you have a choice then. Which way are you going to go?
I think back with Tayden and Alec.
Very interesting indeed. Revel, they're going to draw the feathered swine away. You can absolutely get up to that gap in the rock. You can climb up into it, and you end up back in on the map here. It's basically right where the dead mercenary is. It's there, that up in that area. You're muted, Revel. Revel, you're muted. We can't hear you.
So on the map, it's kind of by one or three chamber.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like in between the one and the, like, it's where the dead merc. It's basically right, kind of near where the dead merc was found, or where you killed her.
So I will wait. Oh, got it. I was thinking of the other dead mercs.
No, the one that was
I got
alive.
it,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will kind of find a hiding place within there
Mhm.
and kind of catch my breath.
And hopefully wait for the others. Let's talk about the others. At this point, whatever was back in chamber back in chamber 9, the area you did not search yet, there were 2 more of the tumor monsters there. They are alerted by the sounds, and you can hear them lumbering towards you as first Alec and Theodan. You're not there yet, Osto. Alec and Theodan, you're in the room with the 4 holes. You can hear coming down from that direction you did not originally search. You can hear 2 more of these creatures, you know, as they stumble toward you.
You know, I
What do
can
you do?
say I'm not going to miss this place if we get out of here.
Yeah, I have no desire to fight these things. I'm just going to run past them.
Very well.
Yeah, if they do catch up with us, he'll kind of pull out these still slightly damp bombs that he's holding,
the bombs.
and he'll say, "I'm ready to blow this place to shit if they want to pick a fight."
You will be aware of the fact that you're leaving Osto behind, and Osto will have to face them.
Yeah, see, so we don't really know that he's kind of infected. We just think that he's
you just think he's just
fucked up.
behind. Yeah. You just think he's half burned, and yeah.
Crap.
Someone burned me.
A skirmish treasure hunter might welcome this because you'll get Osto's share of the loot, but
yeah.
I want to be very clear about how I feel about this. The ship is sinking. We're having some issues. We're taking on water. It's not exactly every man for himself, but the only other person that's got a ton of money that I know about is Theoden, so I'm running with Theoden.
Very good. Every man for himself and Theoden because he has more of the cysts.
Yeah.
So if are they still kind of reset like into that tunnel a little bit?
They're not quite there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, should I just chuck one of these things down there?
Yes, of course you should.
Then I'll do that.
It's a risk roll. If you succeed, I'll let you blow them both up.
That's a great success if I can do that.
I would like to know what we think could go wrong here. Everybody gets to speak.
Bomb in a cave?
Great idea. Yeah.
I think it widens the opening that they're coming through, and more are attracted
There are more.
to that large opening.
That's bad.
The big one is able to get through.
I'll keep it simple and just say the bomb doesn't go off.
I think the cavern that goes back out the way we came towards that pool with the crabs in it collapses, and we can't get out that way anymore.
Oh no.
That was my risk roll.
That's fantastic. These are all terrible consequences, some worse than others. You have 1 light die with bomb itself, Theodan. I'll take devil's bargains if people can think of them. I'm going to say that no matter what, in your haste, you chuck all the bombs. Or you just chuck the whole chuck the whole bag and drop a match in and hope something good happens.
My devil's bargain was actually collapsing an exit.
Same.
That's pretty good too. Yeah, no matter what, a point of egress collapses.
The concussive force of the explosion shatters 1d3 of the cysts in both Theoden and my bag.
Very interesting.
Well, as tantalizing as all those are, I think I'm just gonna chuck every single one of these bombs that I got
And see what happens.
and see what happens.
Light a match, throw a bag. I like it. 2 light, 1 dark.
2 light, 1 dark. That is a 5 dark.
5 dark. I think you just take a little bit of a concussive blast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a spin on Chris's fail condition and say that the concussive blast also causes you to lose 1 cyst. But otherwise, describe how you destroy these things.
Yeah, so he kind of like, it's more that he has 1 bomb poking out, or at least the fuse of 1, and he lights that one and just tosses it into, he can't even see what's in there. He just hears, and that's all he needs to do because he knows what these things sound like. And it kind of, you hear some skittering, and then I think you hear them in Jason's great voice kind of start reacting to whatever the hell just landed in front of them. And then you feel this giant pulse, not unlike we've been kind of seeing around this fleshy place, and just bits and pieces of different hued viscera comes flying out of the tunnel.
Every time I do the tumor monster voice, Zoom thinks I'm trying to play a song. No, Zoom, I'm not trying to play a song. Fantastic. The escape is otherwise. Osto, you can escape now. The escape and maybe a little PTSD'd by more explosions and fire, but the escape otherwise goes fine. You Revel, the group is now passing by your little hidey hole. What do you do?
Are they still ahead of Revel of Osto?
Yes.
Okay, so I will just wait a little bit to make sure nothing's coming out behind them. And even if I see Osto come out, he's quite a bit slower. So I will go sprinting after the rest of the group.
Say that last bit again.
I'm just chasing after the rest of the group. I'm just behind them a little bit, kind of partway between them and Osto.
Got it. Okay, good. This is it for the cave and the dungeon. Anything else before you go? Any hunt tokens to spend?
Yeah, I would like to cash out all 3 of my hunt tokens, actually.
Same.
All right. Let's get treasures that you find on the way out, perhaps dislodged from the explosion. You find some things. Let's see here. I'm going to go to each character and see how many you're cashing in. Revel, how many are you cashing in? Or if any?
I don't have any.
Theoden, how many are you cashing in?
I'm cashing in all 3 that I have.
Okay. I think on your way out, you see the crabs by the pool crawling around they're crawling around the preserved hand of one of those sorcerer queens, sealed in a crystal reliquary. The hand is wearing a jade ring. The interior is riddled with claw marks. There's some story here of something that happened in this cave system a long time ago, which we're kind of getting in bits and pieces here. But I will put, it's worth 3 gold though, because it's a fabulous antique, an item of interest to people interested in such things. Alec, do you have any that you're spending on the way out?
I don't have any.
Osto, do you?
I am spending 3.
3. On the way out, you find a heavy copper urn shaped like a scaled beast with human hands and face. Its gaping mouth forms the opening. That is worth 1 gold. And then you also find a silver brooch crafted in an 11-point star, each ruby tipped. The badge of a forgotten or secret order. That's worth 2 gold. I will clip that for you here. Not a bad treasure hole, all things told. And you do not find the spell book. So sad. Indeed, it doesn't even matter, because when you get back, you discover that poor Felix has been killed by wolves. Poor Felix, torn apart by wolves. You just see what's left of him, which is not much. That concludes Sleeping Place of the Feathered Swine. We are going to do Hearthfire now at this point. I'm going to explain Hearthfire, and then we're going to take a break so we can prepare for Hearthfire. Hearthfire is the bottom part of your character sheet. So beneath that heavy black line, starting at line 61 on the sheet, you will see a section. That is the Hearthfire section. I'm going to explain what each section is. I'm going to be kind of deliberate about this, mostly for people watching the video, just because I think it's interesting. But the top part is your horde. There are 50 marks. Horde is, if this character keeps being an ongoing concern, this is what you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to get each of those 50 marks filled with treasure or with gold. Once it goes there, it cannot be taken out except in one really particular circumstance. But generally speaking, once it's there, it's gone forever. And any cash treasure you have at the end of Hearthfire has to go in Horde. Now, found equipment can stay found equipment. It can be kind of an insurance for the future, or it can be just something you want to use in the adventure. But any like gemstones and coinage has to go in Horde at the end. But basically, every time you put stuff in Horde, we also get to learn a little bit more about your character. We get to learn about their drive. We get to learn about their philosophy. There's different things that happen every time you add to the Horde. The next section is called Household. Household's really important in Trophy Gold. The short version of it is basically once you have a household, it increases your burdens, but every time you return to town from an adventure, you get to clear any conditions that you wish and lower your ruin by 1, which is very valuable. You also get to define your household, and you get to collect mementos from the adventures. There's also carousing. This probably won't come up today, but basically you can spend gold in town to access useful information. And the more you carouse, you also eventually begin to gain an ownership stake in your favorite tavern. There's equipment. So you have those 3 slots. To basically get one of those slots back, you have to spend a gold. You begin to form a relationship with the shopkeeper. There's library. This is how you get new rituals. There's training. This is how you get new skills. Healing is very important. You can always spend 1 gold in town to heal yourself of 1 ruin, or you have 3 marks that let you heal 1 for free, 3 total. And then there's also funeral and fate if your character meets a sad end. So what I want to do is take a 15-minute break to give you all a chance to read through the Hearthfire materials to see all the stuff that you can do, because we're going to come back and you got to, first thing is meet your burdens. So, and even before that, we probably need to divvy up the cysts. So assuming that you're going to divide them up evenly, you have 22 total. 22 divided by 4 is 6 for 2 of you and 5 for the other 2, I believe.
We lost one in that explosion, or
that
2
is
if I
right.
lost one also.
That's right. Very good. So no, because I don't think he didn't take that. Oh no, I did. I just, it was a complication.
Yeah.
Just 1 is lost. So basically 6. One of you gets 6 and the other 3 get 5. So decide that amongst yourselves. I don't care who. And then that combined with all your other treasure you found, you have to meet your burdens. And so you have to erase gold equal to your burdens. And then you get to spend your gold or otherwise increase your burdens to do things in Hearthfire. So we'll take 15 minutes so you can read through the Hearthfire materials. I'm particularly interested if you're going to establish a household, because that requires a lot of creativity on your part. So be thinking about that. And we'll come back, and then we'll do that, and then that will be our session. So I'll see you in 15. Okay, it is time for Hearthfire. In way of housekeeping, what did you all decide for the cysts? Who's getting what?
I thought it was fine if we let Theoden have 6 since he did the first cut and got 12 of them.
Very good.
I don't know
Everybody
if
else
anybody else
has
has an opinion.
seems like we got thumbs up on that. So everybody else has 5. Theoden has 6. These cysts, they might have some use as equipment. I don't know what yet. They're probably very difficult to maintain because they could be burst pretty easily. So I'm not sure like what the value is in keeping them if you want to go ahead and just go straight ahead and cash those in for their money value. But obviously you can keep one if you want. Theoden, or I'm sorry, Osto, you have an extra burden now. I don't know if you've noted that or not.
I have.
But go ahead and everybody clear your or clear enough treasure to meet your burdens, and go ahead and unmark your armor if you have marked armor.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to treasure and stuff like that, what is the intent? Like, are you just supposed to keep the stuff that you find, or do we like divvy up the gold amongst each other? Things like that.
That is up to you all. You only end up with whatever I say put in your found equipment or put in your treasure, whatever your character finds. If you all want to pool resources, that's a conversation for you all to have amongst yourselves. It is not GM business, it is player business. So you all sort that out. If it comes to blows, let me know. And we'll let the dice determine how that goes. But
How much gold's everybody sitting? I have 12.
After burdens, I just have the cysts, so 5.
I didn't even bother with
Yeah.
my burdens yet.
After
have 8.
burdens, I've got 4 because I have to. My burdens are technically 5 because I have to see a healer about a little bit of a bug
infection.
issue.
Yeah.
I'd have to go and check some boxes. I think I jumped ahead.
Yeah.
So
I have 8 gold after burdens, so
I probably had less than that, but I would have chosen not to share any except for the discussion about the pearl and letting you know that I can probably do a better job of selling it than Alec can.
Yes.
Better job selling it than Alec can.
So let's talk about some of these items actually, because some of them are magic. The pearl is magic, so it is worth a lot just intrinsically to the right buyer, but it is a magic item as well. And so if you keep it as a magic item, Alec, you have to increase your burdens by 1, but you have a magic item, which can produce an infinite number of crabs. So that is, if you can find a use for that, and who knows, there could be a use for that. If nothing else, maybe you'll
Open
never
a
go
restaurant.
hungry again. Yeah, open a seafood restaurant. But in any case, that's what it does. So if you sell it, you sell it. If you keep it, it increases your burdens by 1.
I'm going to sell it.
Very well. Other magic. Let me take a look at your equipment because some of you might have magic items you don't know yet. The preserved hand of the sorcerer queen, magic item. If you keep that, it increases your burdens by 1. Let's see what else. You already said the pearl. The crown is not, incidentally. It's just very valuable, but it could have interesting story implications in the future, obviously. The fortune teller's cards are not. Oh, the alchemist potion belt. The potions do different things. They are not magic items in the sense that they won't increase your burdens by 1, but they're magic in the sense that they do have magical effects. So
How does identify work?
do you have identify or?
No.
Okay, so there's no such thing. Basically, what we would do, so this is not defined in the text what these potions do. It would be a combination of me just deciding or you just trying it, and maybe it provokes a risk roll. But in any case, it's just future story potential.
I would like to encourage Rebel to give me my belt back after taking it off of my body.
I mean, we could do a contest roll to see who ends up with it if you all want to risk it. That's up to you. He did have you dead to rights when he got that potion.
He
belt,
did.
So, but I could see it being a point of contention.
I suppose your character does know that I took it. That Rebel took
Oh
it.
yeah. Took it and set me on fire. I can keep that second part to myself if you want to give me the belt.
Let's see here.
We can do a contest roll for this if we want. It just depends on how badly you each want it.
I want the gold.
Maybe I can help smooth this over a little bit too. So I'm gonna go sell this pearl, and I'm gonna take Revel with me. When I find out that this thing's actually worth as much money as it is, I side-eye Revel. I'm like, "What's your deal, man?
I told you I could get more for it than you could,
You said it was worth 1 gold."
and I convinced the person that we're talking to sell it for 6 or to buy it
Oh
for
man, if you want me to believe that bullshit, you're gonna have to roll something, because I have plenty of contacts that can do this find out how much this pearl's actually worth. You're totally on the outside looking in right now, buddy.
I know.
Revel not making any friends or influencing people in the party right now.
I'll try the con.
Very interesting. I mean, I'm not sure what the stakes are there, so I'm not sure if that has to go to dice. The little conflict between the two of you.
Here's what the stakes are. I have this money. I probably have more money than anybody. I'm actually willing to share it with some people.
Okay.
So like, if he can convince me that maybe this wasn't terrible, then I can maybe talk everybody into, like, maybe we pool our gold as a crew and then split it up evenly. If not, though, I'll be like, all right, Revel, you're a dick, and every man for themselves.
I mean, I'm not sure how the dice can adjudicate this,
All right.
so I think it's just going to come down to what you all decide.
Oh,
So-
okay.
I'll let you answer this question because it's your pearl, right?
Mhm.
So when we went, was it obvious? Is it obvious that you just don't believe me?
No, not at all. I thought you were. I thought you were being truthful with me until I found out it was worth 6 gold.
I mean, did you? So you know, independent of me, that it's worth 6 gold.
Yeah, I mean, I know people. I was a
Alright.
whaler. I know all sorts of people from the sea.
Then, since I know I'm caught, it doesn't make sense to try and con anyone. I will apologize and say I didn't realize it was magic.
That
Okay.
seems fair.
If we all, I will look at everybody. Then I'm like, if we all pool our gold together and divvy it up, I will do that, since this thing is worth quite a bit of cash.
Okay, let's see what we got here total. That's
After
not
you,
such a bad idea.
yeah, after you drop your burdens, like we'll pull in
Yep.
stuff after burdens.
All right.
I'm sitting on 8 gold.
Afterwards, jeez.
Yeah.
All right. So I
Pearl's
will.
worth 6, so
Yeah, I'll do a similar apology to Osto that I freaked out,
Mhm.
and the only way I know to get rid of fungus is burn it, and I'll give him his alchemist potion belt
Fair
back.
enough.
So that leaves me with let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
everybody had a pretty good haul, all things considered. I mean,
So that's
I will
13 so far.
say that out of those 5, if this was a long-term campaign, which we should kind of pretend like it is, right? These are real people. I probably would not want to part with the journal because it's full of stories and rumors. So it's probably it's worth more than the 1 gold.
the journal has a lot more like
Yeah, potential.
Yeah, man. If you want to
Potential
keep it, we'll just take it out of your cut.
Well,
Like you bought it
let-
with the split up gold.
let me put it this way. This leather journal has other stories and rumors that might be turned into that might be worth other excursions for us,
Assuming we work together again.
assuming we were.
interesting indeed. So what's the final split then for everybody?
I don't know. It depends on if Osto and Theoden are in on this deal.
Yeah, I'll get in.
Yeah, as long as he can have some gold left over for his upkeep, I can put in what looks to be 5 into the pool after my
Same.
burdens.
and you're the same, Osto?
Mhm. Yeah.
Cool.
it was the
That
same.
means everybody gets
6, right?
it means everybody gets 6 except for
Yeah.
Revel, who would get 5 in the journal.
Nice.
If Revel is okay with that.
This seems fair.
Yeah, I mean, it seems fair. I'm just trying to think of if I would part with the crown or not.
Oh, the
Because-
crown. Yeah, the crown
Because
is
it's more of a story element.
it is
than-
more of a story element too. Yeah, and well, so that's the thing. Are you Theoden? Are you keeping the hand?
Oh no, he's liquidating.
Oh, you're
his
liquidating.
assets
Okay,
right now.
all right. Well,
Yeah.
so those two things kind of went together in the
In
stories.
this world, our I know we probably make it up, but are Fae like long lived, immortalish type?
Sure. Yeah, I'm into that.
So let's see here. So it was basically 6 apiece.
It'll be 6 apiece, assuming you sell the journal.
Yeah,
Um,
5 in journal or 6. Yeah.
so I will actually offer to buy the hand and the crown, keep the crown. So I'm not as sure about the journal right now, but I think I'll sell the journal. So that would leave me with 2 instead of,
And everybody else gets 6.
yeah.
There you go.
That's
Very
totally
good.
fine with me.
Yeah, that all seems very reasonable. Very well handled group.
That is how we do it on the ship.
Indeed,
With the money.
indeed. Shares.
now,
We do
a crew.
shares.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's talk about Hearthfire now. So you do all have some money to spend or otherwise stash and hoard. I think the way I'm going to do this is just go around the table and see, and just kind of one at a time, and just going around and around till we're done. Find out what everybody wants to do for Hearthfire. Hoard is always last, so let's start with Theoden. What would you like to do for Hearthfire?
Okay, I think the first thing is the household.
Fantastic. Let's read it. It says, after you survive your first incursion, you may take out a loan for a small private house. It isn't much, but safely returning to the comforts of home heals 1 ruin in all conditions. You can do that now if you wish. The first time you establish a household, increase your burdens by 1, then complete both of the following. First, what kind of structure or environment is your household? A small cottage, a decrepit church you are lovingly restoring, a series of tunnels belonging to the local thieves guild, something else. Name and describe your household.
Yeah, I think that. So I was thinking, I guess I can get people's ideas here. So my father is indebted to Bright Teeth Assyrio in Umbaret.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking I could be in what's the rundown charcoal district?
That's one of them. Yeah.
The rundown spot. So I was thinking that, or if he really, because I think that he turned kind of criminal after his dad went into debt. But before that, he was kind of an honest gravekeeper, and I think that he has a house. I'm just going to call it right now in Fort Durin. He works there. For when people actually do end up coming back and then dying, which maybe doesn't happen all that often. But so yeah, it's a small little it's like it's on the grounds. It's like a groundskeeper's house, small little cottage hovel thing. And yeah, that's where he stays in Fort Durin.
Note that on that line there, on line 50 or line 88. Everybody else gets to say a memento from your journeys together that can be found in your household, and you'll note those on mementos. Now, this can be something that we saw in the dungeon, or it can be something implied from the adventure or your travels. There's no real right or wrong answer here. Whoever wants to say something, go for it.
Did the syringe get broken or damaged?
No, I don't think it. I think it's technically still around.
I think the syringe would be a fun thing to keep.
You have the brass syringe, very well.
Yeah.
I'm going to say you managed to pluck one of the very few long feathers from the feathered swine.
Let's see. You probably don't want the awful, all of the excrement that we found.
So there was a lot of
mean,
that.
yeah.
I pocketed a small symbol. It's like it's not really worth much of anything, but it's a tree kind of on a disc off of the mage that we were supposed to work for that was killed by wolves.
Felix, yes, poor Felix.
So you have that, or maybe I didn't pocket it. Maybe you did. I mean,
Yeah, well, you could maybe even given it to Theoden, but in case you have it, Theoden.
I think you have a rag that is stained with some of the goop that was found in the green goop that was found in the cave, and you keep it just to remind you of how dangerous places like that can be.
Fantastic, love that. Okay, so and also just a reminder, you get to lower your ruin by 1 and clear conditions if you wish. Does that take your ruin down to its starting value now?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so hold on 1 second. The household just drops it by 1, right? So I'll be at 3, not 2.
Oh, okay. Let's go to Alec. Alec, what would you like to start with for?
Also household, which you guys can help me with the setting stuff because I don't know this setting super well.
It's a very like moving target, so I wouldn't worry
cool.
too much. Yeah.
So I have a small houseboat on the water somewhere that I have invested in.
In the blossoming sea, we'll say.
In the blossoming sea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just spent 15 minutes looking at Loom, basically. That's all I did.
Yeah, we have a map in. Let me take a look. There might be a more Fort Durin appropriate body of water. Let me check real quick. Nope, it's the Blossoming Sea. Yeah.
Okay. That's where I'm at. It's just a place that I can go and be on the water because that's where I'm most comfortable.
What do we have? Everybody gets to lower your ruin by 1 and clear any conditions you wish.
Increase my burdens.
Increase your burdens by 1. And everybody else gets to say a memento from your travels.
Yeah, I think that you've got with just dribbles left, the sedative jars. So I kept the syringes, you kept the sedative jars that are basically empty.
It's a good memento of that very important scene. I think that you always claim a knot. So you always like cut away a knot from a piece of rope that got used in your travels. And so you have a knot that was maybe used when you all were like, tying off to scale down places or whatever.
all right. I have 2 that are related. So one of them is probably not really a memento, but it's scars from being burned. And the second one is a small carving of a whale that I spent a lot of time creating for you as kind of I really didn't mean to burn you.
Oh, nice.
Or Revel, I should say. No.
Revel getting that character redemption, that redemption arc going.
It's pretty good.
I think on the way out, grabbed some of the bones from the campfire. I made a little wind chime for you.
That's
Nice.
like very Texas Chainsaw to me. I don't
It
know
is a
why.
very like
Yeah,
Texas
yeah.
Chainsaw kind of thing. Yeah, it really is.
There we go.
Let's go to Osto. Osto, what would you like to do for Hearthfire to start?
Also doing a household.
Tell us about your household.
I think it is a little cabin I've made for myself out in the woods, just outside of Fort Durin, maybe on the west side, and yeah, just kind of
Those are bad woods, by the way. those are
west side.
Those are not great woods to be in.
Oh, whichever side away from the near the city, on the side away from Durban, or from the Caldor.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the leeward side. Yeah, and just like a place to, like, not far away from civilization, but just to get away from, like, the press of the city.
Fantastic. Lower your ruin, increase your burdens by 1, lower your ruin by 1, clear your conditions.
7.
That's a lot. It's a fair amount. Mementos. Who wants to go first?
And I'm going to keep the infected by ruby tears of mercy condition, so I remember that.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Yeah.
You have
go for it.
You first.
Oh, you're good. Okay.
You-
Okay. Okay. You please go ahead.
You have a small luminescent crab in a small aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very good.
Or, I was gonna say, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I didn't mean to interrupt anybody actually. But I was gonna say, on the way out, you had whittled an effigy for your god out of some discarded bones from the cave that we found.
I'm gonna say that you actually have a secret shrine to your god in a little basement space beneath your house.
Yeah.
So I screwed up because you're the one that I set on fire. Osto is the one that Revel set on fire.
Well, there was that scene. I thought you were talking about the scene when you were fighting the tumor monsters, and because you started a fire there as well, if you recall. Yeah.
So I did set it. Our Revel did set Alec on fire for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure there was some fire splashback at some point.
Right.
Yeah,
all right. So, Osto, because he was going slower on the way out, actually found it's a pretty fine, a fine knife, that's small, so wouldn't be something that's a weapon, but it would be good for kind of fine detailed carving.
Very good. Is that everyone? Yeah.
Yeah.
For the household. Let's go to Revel. Revel, what would you like to start with for Hearthfire?
I guess I'm actually also establishing a household. So I assume that Fort Dern is, since it's called a fort, is a walled city, or at least part of it is walled.
It is indeed, yeah.
So I would like my household to be a section of abandoned smuggler's tunnel underneath the city wall.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Increase your burdens by 1, lower your ruin by 1, and clear any conditions you wish. And everybody else will populate with mementos. I think you did keep some of that. You kept some of the scat.
I was kind of fascinated by it.
It was a particular focus for your character, I feel like. Therefore worth remembering.
As way of accepting Revel's apology, I buy him a small pearl brooch.
I think maybe you also kept one of the vials from the alchemist's belt there.
From that one.
Like one with fluids, like
yeah.
Oh, pick a color. What color did he keep?
I think it's a clear one. Like it's
a clear one.
Like it doesn't even look like there's liquid in it. It just looks empty, but there's actually
there's a clear fluid in it. Yeah.
So clear there.
Good.
I think that you kept some you found like a small pouch with the refuse of salt that you can use in further rituals.
Nice. Let's go back around the table. Theodan, what would you like to do next for Hearthfire?
I think that I want to heal a bit.
Do you want one of the freebies, or do you want to just spend money?
Yeah, let's do a freebie. Let's narrate a scene showing a private side to you few others see.
Go for it.
I haven't got a chance to, you know what, I'm just gonna, I don't know how well it kind of ties in. That's the beauty of not knowing your character that well, is you can just link to it later. You know, you don't have to explain it right now. I think that in his home, when prying eyes are away, you can see him silently praying and reading a book. It's about, I don't know how to pronounce this, Saint Ara, or is it Ara, the torchbearer?
Aura.
Ara, yeah, Saint. So he actually prays to her. I know that she was locked away and whatnot, and nobody really knows he's religious either, especially given his line of work.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah. Saint Ara, for people curious, is like there are lots of sisters. There's probably dozens or hundreds of them that are the saints of this world, but Ara is one of the big ones. Like top 5 sisters, easy, right? So,
Wait for the Watch Mojo video coming out.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Top 10 saints in the Kaldur. No, Ara is definitely on that list.
So I will take my rune back to starting value with that.
Fantastic. All right, let's keep going. Alec, what would you like to do next for Hearthfire? You're muted. Oh, you're muted, Chris.
I am muted. Sorry about that. I go and get some equipment from a merchant.
Fantastic.
I will unmark 2 of my marked boxes.
Cool. You get
The
to anything that's there, just so you know, anything that was like anything that you took from your equipment that is still that you still have, you get to transfer it to your found equipment so that you still have that item, even though it was one of your slot items. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, so my 60 foot of rope goes down to the found items now?
It goes down to found equipment, so you have that, and now your slot is open again.
Okay. The name of the innkeeper is Gadden. No, it's not supposed to be Battle. Gadden Bartle.
Okay.
And his secret is that he's part of a cult of the Sister of the Watery Depths. I have no idea if that's actually a real person, but
that would be that there is. That is Saint. She's one of the other big ones. She's like also in that top 5. Her name is, I'll get it for you real quick. It's Ara, it's like Ara and her, like the 2 big ones.
Where's all this setting information?
It's in Trophy Loom. This Saint Exodius of the Leviathan is her name. She is the saint of all people who go on the sea. So
nice. And yeah, there you go.
Fantastic. Love that. Terrific. And actually, it's interesting that it's actually really interesting that the shopkeeper is a cultist, because Saint Exodius is of all the saints, of all the sisters, at least according to Loom, seems to be the most like kind of monstrous or not like polite society one of them. So like maybe was just an ancient terrible god that we've branded a sister. So it's kind of the idea with Saint Exodius. So fantastic. Thank you so much. Let's go over to Osto.
I think I'm just gonna spend for healing. Spend 1 gold to get
fantastic. Revel.
So I assume, like, if you put something in Horde, I mean, obviously you can't take it out to sell it, I assume.
Once you put gold in Horde, it's gone. Yeah.
But if you would put an item in Horde,
you have to sell it and then put it in Horde. But you can keep it as an item, but if you make it into money, it has to go in Horde. So
okay, all right, yeah. Because I was just gonna say I've got those 2 items that fit perfectly for Horde, but that's fine.
No, they just stay in found equipment.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The hand in the reliquary, you have to increase your burdens by 1 to keep that.
Okay.
It's a magic item. So
that's right. Let's see. Let me do that before I forget. And in order to find out what it does, you basically have to
go out in the world and try it. Yeah, see what happens. Yeah, I mean, to some degree, we would kind of work together to figure out what it does.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The let's see here. So I am also going to I'm also going to go shopping, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So just one gold. Let's see here. What am I?
You can open up one of your slots.
Yeah, I think I don't have to pick what it is right away.
Well, it has to be it's the one of your three, like kind of the three slots in the bottom. So basically, you could transfer your torches or your cloth handkerchief down to your found equipment and then open one of those up.
Okay. What about the top three?
Those are just like nothing. They're just like they don't count for purposes of these open slots. They're just kind of starting equipment.
So when they're gone, they're gone.
They're
Kind
gone,
of.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Let's see here. I'm just gonna spend the one gold to replenish my torches.
Sounds good.
So
Let's or to open that slot, yeah. And then you can put the torches down in found equipment and then open the slot up.
so it's yeah. All right.
Let's go back to Teodon. Teodon, anything else for Hearthfire?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna spend 2 gold to open 2 slots for my equipment.
Let's keep going. Alec, anything else for Hearthfire?
I'm going to spend 1 to heal.
Fantastic. Osto?
I think I'm just dumping the rest in Horde.
All right, let's talk about Horde. Horde says, the first time you stash gold in your Horde, complete both of the following. First, where do you keep it so no one can find it?
There's a tree stump near my cabin that it actually has that I've actually dug out. Like the tree stump used to be a stump, but I've dug out underneath it and then like used it as like a
lid.
A lid, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I like it. Note that there where it says I keep my Horde. And now here's the really important and interesting part. Please narrate a flashback to the moment your drive became important to you.
Yeah, I think that was when I was a full-time miner. There was a cave-in. Other folks got crushed dead or trapped, and I was separated and lost in the dark with no light source, and spent probably a couple days trying to feel my way around in the dark until I heard like a whistling or wind blowing over something, and I just followed that, and eventually, after a while, some tight squeezes came up, in a place where the wind was blowing over a small opening that I could just squeeze through. And I think from the like hunger and exhaustion and getting myself out of that, that's when I had my first vision of Ashar, the East Winds.
Fantastic. Anything interesting in the vision we should know about?
Probably. I can't think of anything right now.
It's okay. How much are you stashing?
5.
That's not bad. That's 1/10 of the
Yeah.
way. Yeah, it's pretty good. Let's go over to Revel.
So I'm gonna use 1 gold to heal Ruin,
Fantastic.
which brings me down to
Your starting value.
Yep.
Let's go back over to Teodon.
Yeah, I'm going to hoard 4 gold.
Where do you keep your stash?
He keeps his stash in a jar that also contains his mother's ashes.
That's so creepy. I like it. So to anyone else, it just looks like a big jar of ashes with all your money buried in.
Mom's keeping the money safe.
Very good. Love it. Please narrate a flashback to when your drive of paying your father's debt to Bright Teeth became important to you.
Yeah, I think that you kind of see a little bit younger Theoden working maybe on the grounds, and what looks to be an older version of him comes up, and they kind of embrace. They clearly haven't seen each other in a long time, and his father kind of smiles at him, and he's got these two gleaming teeth, and so they have a conversation about why that is. His father moved to Amberette, couldn't sustain a life there, obviously, and so he took a loan out through Bright Teeth Sirio, and back in the distance, his dad kind of points behind him, and you see three figures, one smaller one in the center, two big hulking figures on either side. And that was Bright Teeth, who was nice enough to make the trip all the way to Fort Durin just so she could tell Theoden himself that he is as responsible for his own father's debt as his father is. And if not, she's gonna have her two lumbering figures, who are coincidentally named Please and Don't, break his legs. So that way she's not implicated in case anything happens. She says, please don't break his legs.
I love it. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. And you're stashing 4. That's a pretty good amount as well. Alec, any more Hearthfire?
Yes. So can you keep gold from session to session?
You may not. You can keep it as equipment or items. You cannot keep it as money. You have to cash it. You have to put it in Hoard.
I will cash it all in then. My 3.
All right. Where do you keep it so no one can find it?
So I have a whale skin sack that I keep in the bilge of my houseboat.
Nice. Please narrate a flashback to when repaying your losses to the Southern Pass Company became important to you. You've already kind of told us a little bit about this, but I'd like to hear more.
Yeah, so I am injured. There's like a head injury that I have. And I also, unfortunately, was blamed for a boat sinking. When I went and talked to my my boss, they were like, if you can repay us back this money, we may have a cure for your head so that you can be a whaler again. You can get back out on the sea. And that moment right there was when I must get this money together so that I can go back and do the thing that I wish to do.
It's so tragic. Like everybody's desires seem so, I don't know, like almost like quaintly achievable, and yet you're doing all this horrible shit in order to like accomplish it. It's something very tragic and ironic about it. I'm really here for it. Thank you. Let's keep going. Osto, you're done, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then Revel, do you have anything else to do?
Yep, I'm going to put 2 gold in Hoard as well.
Sounds fantastic.
So,
where do you keep it?
So I just keep it in a kind of a hidden facet within the Abandoned Smuggler tunnel that I've claimed. And so fairly straightforward. And then the second one about the flashback to my drive. So just kind of describing the scene, it's kind of a dark swirling, like either mist or fog or smoke, something like that. And you see Revel on one knee with his head kind of bowed in shame. And there's 3 you see 3 kind of cobbled shadowed figures standing in front of him. And after a while, Revel stands up, and the center figure reaches his hand into it appears like it just reaches right into Revel's body and pulls something out with like a purplish, just pulls out like a purplish glow. And then Revel walks off, and as he's walking off, the 3 figures just turn their back to him.
Nice, mysterious. Is there anything else for Hearthfire? I think that's everybody with Hoard, right? Okay, then. That concludes Hearthfire. That concludes our time with this particular series. These characters are good to be used for any other trophy gold that I run in the future. You are more than welcome to use them again, as long as you just give me a heads up when you're joining the session that you want to use them. And I think a couple of you are in my session next time, and so you can definitely use this character again there. Let's go to stars and wishes. Stars, things you enjoyed about the whole series, or specifically today, or but either session is fine. As many as you wish. Character role play, characterizations, something about the module itself, just anything you want. Wishes, I don't know what wishes mean in this context, except I don't know, maybe roads not traveled or something. I don't know, but I'll start though. I really enjoyed this a lot. This was a lot of fun. It was such a good dungeon crawl. It had like all the right like the beats that you would want it to have. It felt very like high action towards the end, especially, but it had like moments of distress and pathos and tragedy and action and grossness, and it was really, really fun. I thought everyone did a really great job with their characterizations. Everyone did a really nice job. It was a really interesting party dynamic because like you really truly felt like a group of people who are just stuck together out of desperation, like not particularly good friends, but they're on a job, doing your best to help each other out as much as you can within reason. But then in Hearthfire, they get to kind of go back to being private people, which I think is really interesting. Like, this is not the kind of fantasy adventure game where your characters are like best friends and romancing each other and hanging out at the tavern after. It's not that kind of story, right? It's much more like seedy and grim and private, and I like that about it. Star, for the module itself, it's really, really enjoyable. We didn't get to do one of the more gnarly aspects of the module. You just avoided going into that chamber. There were basically two chambers you didn't get to see, and they were two of the most like gnarly of the chambers, and so it would have been cool to see that. I would have liked to have seen that, but I also think there's a pleasure in the unknown as well. So there's a certain pleasure in like not seeing everything and wondering what might have happened, and I'm not going to tell you right now. And yeah, just a really great time. Thank you all so much for this two-shot. It was really, really enjoyable.
I'll go. I mean, I think first of all, and I said this last time, I think as a group we gelled really well as players, even if our characters might have been not always seeing eye to eye. Well, at least my character not being seen eye to eye. But I think I'd want to say a little bit more about the module, and a lot of Jason already said. But to be honest, the title and like the brief description, I really didn't have any interest at all in the module, but I really wanted a chance to play Trophy Gold because it's been a while, and also play it with somebody, Jason, like you, who understands what it's all about, and has a certain style and expertise in being a DM. So, so I guess those are all stars too, right? But in the end, it's like that the module itself, and potentially it's the way it's run more because I haven't read it, I thought was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the body horror and disgusting stuff was what it was, but it wasn't like it was just gross to be gross. I mean, to some extent it was, but it was gross to be gross to push your characters in a certain direction and to evoke a certain feel, which it absolutely did. So I thought that was cool. And the fact that we didn't that we left stuff on the table drives me nuts in a good way. And the fact that we did it because we were in our characters' minds, like, we've covered our burdens, let's get the hell out of here, instead of kind of what you see in a lot of games where it's like, yeah, our characters are terrified and half dead, but we got to go finish the dungeon. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I had a great time too. Really good group. Jason is always super fun running the the gross dungeon stuff. Had a great time with that. I think I'm playing in the next week's game, and definitely bring Osto back. I don't think I've done that yet in any Trophy Gold game, so I'm curious to see how that transfers over. Yeah, it had everyone, like you said, everyone worked well together, but was also like very much doing their own thing, which was great to see. And yeah, big star for the swine itself. That was super cool and gross, and dealing with that and not doing it was great. The star to Revel for setting me on fire. That was a great moment. Like, yeah, I expected to be dead anyway. It's like, yeah, let's do this. And coming out there was a lot of fun. Yeah, and I think the only wishes I would have was, like you said, like seeing what we missed.
Something I want to point out about that moment, that whole scene and sequence, there was a really interesting, like, almost like a mechanical implication in that moment, because if you had not accepted the devil's bargain about no matter what requiring physician's treatment after this is over, I would have killed you outright.
Yeah,
like you would have been dead, right? But because the devil's bargain was almost like a that was actually what saved you. It was the fact that, like, we have bargained into the fiction that no matter what, you were going to be having ongoing treatment, which means you can't have been killed, right? And so I really kind of liked that as a it was, I mean, I know that wasn't the intention when that bargain was made, but it was an interesting effect, right? Like, it was an interesting like outcome. Like, it was really interesting outcome. Yeah.
So I love the vibe of Revel's character with the rest of the group, and how he's a kind of a schemer and a con man, and I'm here for that. Like, I like that kind of play, especially when I'm playing somebody who's like, I work on a ship, and if we don't all work together, we're gonna die out here. I also really like the vibe of this game. It's like the first time I've played like a game of Trophy before. I don't think I've ever played Trophy Gold. It feels like we're a bunch of blue collar workers that are working minimum wage jobs that are screwed, and we can die at any time.
Yeah, you're fucked, and you're gonna die probably the next time you go out. Yeah, it's really bad. Yeah.
We all have like these dreams and wants and desires, and it's like we have to work these minimum wage jobs to try to get there. It feels terrible in a good way, right? Like, I liked a lot. I got a star for me and Teoden being like, okay, let's go get the stuff off the swine. And it's just like, we're like, yeah, things are going super. Oh no, you got stuff all over you. Let me shove my fingers down your throat. This is just a vibe with the whole theme of the adventure. It was gross and in a great way. And I
love that scene. I have a star for that scene. That scene was really good. That whole scene was great.
I appreciate Billy letting me roll with that so I could do that, because I'm like, that's really uncomfortable in some ways. Man, the whole thing with Osto getting burned, like, I just got like big star for that. And like, it's that game mastering trick that I was like, well, I could kill you, and you would have. I mean, I've heard you run games, Dungeon World and things like that. Like, you have no problem with murdering.
The Devil's Bargain is the only thing that saved Osto. It's the only thing. Osto would have been dead otherwise. Yeah.
But like, I was like, oh man, he's dead. And then I'm like, nope, this is way worse. Like the cilia and the being alive and then the being burned. I'm like, oh my God, those are scars forever. So big star for that and for rolling with it. And then just like crawling out a smoking, burning person. Like, oh, it's just terrible. Yeah, it's all really good stuff. I really had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, going last, you kind of echo what a lot of people say. I would like to say big star for the module again. I hadn't even heard of it before. And you know, I tend to just read modules because I usually only run games. I never get to play in them. So this is really great. Every single disgusting thing, all the way down to Alex shoving his hands in Theoden's mouth. It was perfect. That I live for that stuff. I'm the kind of person that watches like The Fly when you're having a bad day. You know what I mean? So I'm all for that. That was great. I think everybody played well together. And I like that. I also liked seeing the characters kind of change a little bit towards the end. You know what I mean? Like the goals in sight. And then I also really love the juxtaposition between we are expertly cutting the cysts off this things, and then the whole thing is being ruined in the next room while we're like, all right, we're doing really well over here. with what we thought was going to be the hardest part of everything. And the way you guys played that was really cool, because it was like, it was in character, but it stayed within, like, we're all trying to play the game, and the Devil's Bargain really kind of showed why that is such a cool bit from like Cthulhu Dark and Trophy, because it can just radically change any outcome, really, or add in something you never would have thought of, or even have repercussions you never would have thought of when you said it.
Well,
So
we should
big
probably
star
say
for Trophy.
it's from Blades in the Dark, actually.
Yeah, I haven't actually. I have the book, but I haven't read it. Don't tell anybody. But I have read a lot of Cthulhu Dark, so that's what I know about. Either way, star for all those, all the systems, really, and especially Trophy today. Like I said, I don't think I've played a lot of Dark. I've ran a lot of Dark. I haven't ran any Gold, and I've played in Gold exactly one time, and that was Cross Stitch, in which my character died.
That one was a lot of fun. That was a really fun series. It was so wild.
Yeah, I had such a fun time, and it was cool because, well, also cool because I don't really do much in the TTRPG space. I do some like voice work and stuff like that. I try to do a little bit of writing, but it's cool hearing about it on the podcast. I forget the name of it. Wow, what an asshole I am.
Fear of Black
the
Dragon.
podcast where you talk. Yeah, Fear of Black Dragon. That's right. I was just listening to it. But it was cool hearing about it because I kind of got to hear it from how you approached running it, how difficult that was. But yeah, so big star for Jason. It's always a lot of fun with Trophy stuff, and the more body horror, the better. That's what I say.
This was a hell of a lot easier to run than Cross Stitch. So
I can only imagine. I think you said you had a real world timer for Cross Stitch, right?
Yeah. Cross Stitch I love Cross Stitch. It's really, really great, and it's a wonderful module. It's created by one of my layout artists, Ben Mansky. Like, it's an amazing book, but it's hard to run. Like, it's a challenging. Like, it is like you got to be on your A game as a GM to run that. But it supports you well, but it is a tough run. This was really simple. Feathered Swine was really easy to run.
I've been thinking about that a lot because, like I said, it's my only other touchstone for Trophy. It just so happens to be the same GM. But it was so weird that I could see how different I approached the actual rules themselves than, because before in Gold, I didn't really know anything about backpack slots and, just pulling things out of thin air. So it's really cool to see people
That's
learn
from Dungeon World, incidentally. All of our references, or all of our influences coming out here today. Yes. That is 100% from Dungeon World. Yeah,
I did know that, thankfully. But it's just so cool, and even people who don't really know Trophy, like I'm basically talking about myself, Trophy Gold at least. It's cool to see how you can stay as your character, but change the way you play to be more kind of technical. You know what I mean? Instead of just running into a wall, or this would be a fun story bit, you kind of you play the game in quotation marks, and it's really cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, Trophy Gold is a capital G game, right? I mean, it is like
yeah, there are mechanics to intertwine yourself.
Yeah, with, well, I think the best moment in this series was probably when you all were having that discussion about whether to spend the tokens on extracting the cysts or not, right? Like, would that have been the most tactically advantageous thing to do? Yes. You would have saved you all a lot of trouble. But it's balanced rightfully so with this, but that would be the really fun role play part, right? Like, so do we really want to do that, right? Like, what if you had all gotten to that chamber with 5 ruin each and no tokens? What would you have done then, right? Like, it would have, it's a different equation. Same thing with the combat. The combats, that combat that we had in the first session was such a good example of like how tactical Trophy Gold combat is, because you all were having to make decisions about whether to stay in the fight, whether to back out of the fight, whether to do this, whether to do that, and that was really great to see. We got the full experience as far as that goes. Didn't have a contest role. Contest role is more salient and dark anyway, but it that can be really interesting. It might have come to a contest role, however, within the mushroom scene, because that could have gone a different way, right? Like, Eric could have said, "No, I'm trying to burn all of like I am trying to," it could have gone that way, right? And that would have been a contest role. That would have been slightly different. So, but yeah, you're right though. It is very much a game. It wears its gaminess on its sleeve, like it knows it's a game, but the stakes are often narrative, right? Like it's my friend Adrian Herman, who's also an academic in role-playing games, he describes trophy gold as narrative min-maxing. Like it's like power story gaming, right? That's kind of what trophy gold is. So but yeah.
Yeah, and I had my 3 tokens at that mushroom point too. And I could have just spent my 3 tokens to be like, oh no, I figured out how to do the thing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. Yeah, you could have said, "Hey, can I have this as a goal?" And I could have been like, "Yeah, absolutely. Like, let's do that."
I was like, no, it makes way more sense to get killed there.
Yeah. So it's interesting in that way. Sorry, I kind of cut you off, Billy.
Oh no, the last thing I was going to say is that I had such a great time playing with all of you.
Fantastic. Well, this was great fun. Any other stars and wishes before we go?
I want to just add one thing about that first combat. Because I think it's what is so cool about the way combat is done in Trophy Gold. When Revel was in the circle, as a player, I had no idea what I should do at the moment. Should I engage or should I just stay in my circle? And because of how narrative it is, I'm like, oh, I could do this and it would be cool and it would work and it makes sense and it fits the character because he's not really endangering himself a whole lot because he's still in the back.
You're in the circle. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, he'll have to leave the circle, but he's leaving the circle at a point where it's a little bit less risky.
Yeah, it was a really fun combat. If I had to show off a combat for this system, I have a few in my videos I would, but that would be one of them. I would clip that bit and show that to people because it doesn't just show the interplay of the mechanics and the decisions in the narrative. It also, just from my point of view, from the GM's point of view, it also kind of shows how you can manage a scene like that, right? Like how you can kind of manage, like, you know, okay, well, if this character's doing this and this character's doing this and the monsters are here and there, like what does this mean for the dice? What does this mean for the numbers? And that's GM skill, to be fair, but worth, you know, what I think is great about Trophy Gold as a general matter is, as long as a GM, as long as you're being consistent, like as long as your rulings are consistent and you're not like doing anything to like out of turn, or if you're just being really consistent in your rulings, the system is super flexible, right? Like you can do a lot with it, and you can adapt on the fly and kind of adjust as needed, as long as you have like a sort of basic consistency in how you handle things. And that was a great example of it, right? So yeah. Any other stars and wishes? Okay. Well, then this is really.
You should make that video.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Trophy Gold combat, I think, is the hardest part to get your head around as far as why is that fun.
Yeah, it's easy to do, but it's often an open question. When people on paper, it doesn't seem fun. Like you read it and you're like, it doesn't really seem like much, but in practice, it's really, really enjoyable, right? So, yeah, it's a thing that I always, I've had a lot of experience explaining to people and doing, but I want to say in the Trophy podcast we have something on it, but I can't remember. Okay, well, this was great fun. Thank you all so much. Again, I'm going to wave goodbye to everybody watching the video. We hope you enjoyed this.